Welcome to Future Slumber. As the day draws to a close and the world outside your window grows quiet, I invite you to settle into your space. Take a slow, deep breath in, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and let it out gently, releasing all the tension, all the rushing, and all the noise of the day you have just left behind. You are safe here. Your room is a sanctuary, a quiet corner of the world where nothing is required of you, where the only task you have is to rest. Adjust your pillows until they feel just right. Let your shoulders sink heavy into the mattress, and allow the blankets to wrap around you like a warm, comforting embrace. It is time to let go. And as you prepare to drift away, I will gently remind you that you can subscribe to our channel, allowing you to easily find this peaceful space each night without having to search. A simple, quiet addition to your evening routine. But for now, there is nothing to do but listen, to let the words wash over you like a slow tide. If you fall asleep before the story ends, that is perfectly fine. You will not miss anything important. You can drift off at any time, letting the gentle current of sleep carry you away whenever you are ready. Tonight, you find yourself walking down a long, softly carpeted hallway. You are in a quiet, secluded facility nestled somewhere along the rugged, tree-lined coast of the Pacific Northwest. Outside the thick, soundproof windows, a gentle mist is falling over the dark pines, but inside, the air is perfectly climate-controlled, dry, and comfortably warm. It is the middle of the night, the graveyard shift, and the building is entirely empty save for you. The lights in the corridor are dimmed to a warm, amber glow, casting long, soft shadows along the walls. The only sound is the muffled padding of your footsteps on the thick weave of the carpet and the distant, rhythmic hum of the facility's air circulation system. It is a deep, resonant sound, like the purr of a massive, sleeping machine, a sound that vibrates just at the edge of your hearing and settles calmingly into your chest. You reach the end of the hallway and press your hand against a heavy oak door. It opens smoothly, gliding on perfectly oiled hinges, and you step into the main observation room. This room is the heart of the Maritime Environmental Simulation Center. It is a vast, circular space, but it feels surprisingly intimate, bathed in the soft, cool luminescence of dozens of dormant screens. In the center of the room sits the primary projection table, a massive, circular console made of polished brushed steel and dark, heavy wood. Usually this table is used to model complex currents, weather patterns, and oceanic data from across the globe, running intricate scenarios and simulations. But tonight, the systems are resting. Tonight, you have bypassed the complex data feeds and the active models. You have set the system to its most basic, peaceful baseline. You are running a quiet, solitary simulation of the South China Sea, focusing only on the empty water, the natural environment, and the stillness of a midnight ocean. You walk over to the large, plush leather observation chair positioned at the edge of the console. The leather is old and worn, soft as velvet, retaining the faint, comforting scent of old paper and polished wood. You sink into it, feeling the cushions yield and contour to your body, supporting your back perfectly. You reach out and rest your hands on the smooth, cool edge of the wooden console. It feels solid and grounding. Next to you on the desk, there is a heavy ceramic mug filled with chamomile tea. You wrap your fingers around it, feeling the gentle heat seeping into your skin. You take a slow sip, the warm, floral liquid soothing your throat and settling warmly in your stomach. You set the mug down on a small cork coaster, the soft clink barely registering in the quiet room. You reach out and press a single, glowing silver button on the control panel. The massive circular table in the center of the room hums to life. The sound is low and melodic, a gentle crescendo of energy that fills the room with a sense of quiet purpose. The surface of the table, previously a dark, opaque glass, suddenly clears, replaced by a deep, three-dimensional holographic projection of the open ocean. It is a flawless, high-fidelity rendering of the South China Sea on a calm, cloudless night. There are no ships, no routes, no borders, no distant coastlines. There is only the water, endless and deep, stretching out in a perfect circle before you. The color of the digital water is a profound, mesmerizing midnight blue, so dark it is almost black, yet shimmering with internal depth. You lean back in your heavy leather chair and watch the slow, rhythmic movement of the waves. The simulation is incredibly precise, capturing the exact, gentle swell of the ocean currents. You watch a single wave form near the center of the projection, rising slowly, a smooth, rolling hill of dark water. It glides silently across the surface, catching a faint digital reflection, and then softly dissipates into the surrounding sea. Then another wave follows, and another, in an endless, hypnotic procession. The rhythm of the water is steady, slow, and deeply calming. It matches the rhythm of your own breathing. As the waves rise, you breathe in. As they fall, you breathe out. In and out. The dark blue water swells and settles, a vast, silent heartbeat of the natural world, perfectly captured in this quiet room. Above the simulated water, the projection displays a flawless night sky. The stars are scattered across the dome of the hologram like fine silver dust on dark velvet. Because you are observing a simulation of the deep ocean, far from any city lights, the stars are incredibly bright and numerous. You can see the faint, cloudy band of the Milky Way stretching across the digital horizon, a soft smudge of starlight that grounds the vastness of the scene. You watch the stars twinkle, their light filtering down to reflect on the dark, rolling waves below. The moonlight is rendered as a wide, pale path across the water, a shimmering road of silver light that gently shifts and breaks with the movement of the sea. You follow the path of the moonlight with your eyes, letting your gaze wander across the digital horizon, feeling the sheer scale and emptiness of the ocean. It is a profound, comforting emptiness. There is nothing out there but water, wind, and light. There is nothing you need to worry about. Everything is perfectly still, perfectly balanced, perfectly at peace. On the console in front of you, a few small screens display environmental data in soft, glowing green text. The text scrolls slowly, silently, offering a stream of calming information. You read the gentle numbers. The surface water temperature is warm, retaining the heat of a tropical day. The air is calm. The wind speed is barely registering, just a breath of a breeze moving across the empty waves. The humidity is soft and heavy. The data paints a picture of a world at rest, a tropical sea sleeping under a blanket of stars. You watch a slow-moving vector graphic on one of the screens, a series of curved green lines showing the path of the trade winds. The lines sweep across the screen in slow, graceful arcs, curling and flowing like water themselves. You trace the lines with your eyes, feeling your mind slow down, your thoughts drifting away like the wind across the digital sea. You reach out and touch a smooth brass dial on the control board. The brass is cool under your fingertips. You turn it slowly, clockwise, and the perspective of the simulation gently shifts. It feels as though you are smoothly descending from a high aerial view down closer to the surface of the water. The digital waves grow larger, their movement more pronounced, though still incredibly slow and peaceful. You are now hovering just a few feet above the virtual sea. The path of moonlight is incredibly bright now, a dazzling, shifting mosaic of silver on the deep blue water. You can almost imagine the smell of the salt air, the warm, damp breeze on your face, the sound of the water lapping gently against an unseen hull. But here in the observation room, there is only the quiet hum of the servers, the soft glow of the amber lights, and the comforting warmth of your tea. The contrast between the simulated tropical ocean and the quiet, cool American facility you are sitting in is deeply comforting. You feel perfectly insulated. You are an observer, safely tucked away in a quiet room, watching the vast, distant world through a window of calm technology. You take another sip of your chamomile tea. It has cooled slightly, but it is still soothing. You let your eyes close for a moment, listening to the ambient sound of the room. The low, steady hum of the cooling fan sounds like white noise, a constant, reassuring presence that masks any other sound. It is the sound of safety, of systems working perfectly, of a world that is stable and secure. You open your eyes again and look back at the dark water. The slow, rolling swell continues, unbroken, undisturbed. You notice a small detail in the simulation, a faint glowing biological luminescence in the water. As a particularly large digital wave crests and begins to fall, you see a tiny fleeting sparkle of pale blue light deep within the dark water. It is a simulation of bioluminescent plankton disturbed by the gentle movement of the sea. You watch closely, waiting for the next wave. There it is again, a soft, starry glow beneath the surface, mirroring the sky above. It is a beautiful, quiet secret, hidden in the depths of the ocean, revealed only to you in this quiet room. You watch the tiny blue lights flicker and fade, a slow, underwater dance that matches the twinkle of the stars overhead. You feel a deep sense of wonder, a quiet appreciation for the hidden beauty of the world, even a world rendered in light and data. Your eyelids are growing heavy. The soft, shifting blue light from the simulation table bathes your face in a cool, relaxing glow. The tension in your jaw has completely vanished. Your hands rest loosely on the arms of the leather chair. You sink deeper into the cushions, feeling entirely supported, entirely weightless. You turn your attention to a different part of the console. There is a section dedicated to historical maritime navigation, a nod to the long history of sailors who crossed these dark waters before the age of satellites and glowing screens. There is a digital representation of a brass astrolabe spinning slowly on one screen, its intricate rings and pointers mapping the ancient positions of the stars. It is a beautiful piece of virtual craftsmanship, the brass glowing warmly against a dark background. You watch the astrolabe turn, a slow, mechanical rotation that speaks of centuries of careful observation, of quiet nights spent on wooden decks, looking up at the same stars you are looking at now. Next to the astrolabe, there is a digital compass rose, its delicate pointed petals gently swaying back and forth, seeking true north. The slow, rhythmic swaying of the compass needle is hypnotic. Left, right, left, right. It moves with a deliberate, unhurried grace, finding its center over and over again. You let your eyes follow the needle, feeling your own center settling, your own inner needle finding its true north in this moment of deep relaxation. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just the quiet room, the dark water, the slow sweep of the compass needle, and the heavy, comforting blanket of sleep that is slowly pulling over you. You look back to the main simulation table. The sea remains empty and calm. The silver moonlight continues to fracture and reform on the dark blue waves. You imagine what it would be like to actually be out there, floating on the surface of that warm, dark water, miles away from any shore. You imagine lying on your back in the gentle swell, looking up at the vast dome of the night sky, feeling the water support you perfectly, rocking you slowly, gently. Up and down, up and down. The rhythm is deep and eternal. It is the rhythm of the earth itself, a slow, peaceful pulse that connects everything. You feel that pulse in the quiet hum of the room, in the slow scroll of the green data, in the steady, even pace of your own breath. The air in the observation room smells faintly of ozone from the servers, mixed with the dry, clean scent of the climate control, and the lingering, sweet aroma of your chamomile tea. It is a clean, quiet smell. You take another deep breath, filling your lungs with the calm air, and let it out with a long, slow sigh. The sound of your sigh seems too loud in the quiet room, but it quickly dissipates, swallowed by the gentle hum of the machinery. You reach out and trace the edge of the wooden console with your fingertips. The wood is smooth and polished, worn down by years of quiet observation. You feel the grain of the wood beneath your fingers, a tactile connection to something real and solid in this room of light and data. You notice a new pattern forming on the weather screen. It is a gentle simulation of a distant, high-altitude cloud bank moving across the sky. The clouds are thin and wispy, rendered in soft shades of gray and silver as they catch the moonlight. They drift slowly across the stars, briefly obscuring them before moving on, creating a slow, shifting pattern of light and shadow on the water below. You watch the clouds drift, their movement so slow it is almost imperceptible. They look like soft brushstrokes of gray paint on a dark canvas. You watch as a particularly bright star is covered by a thin veil of cloud, its light dimming to a soft, hazy glow, and then brightens again as the cloud passes. It is a slow, quiet game of hide and seek, played out on a cosmic scale, reduced to a glowing screen in a quiet room on the coast of America. The rain outside the facility seems to have picked up slightly. You can hear it now, a very faint, soft patter against the thick glass of the high windows near the ceiling. It is a distant, comforting sound, the sound of water falling on the dark pine trees, running down the glass, washing the world clean. The sound of the real rain outside blends perfectly with the sight of the simulated ocean inside. It is a symphony of water, a quiet celebration of the element that covers so much of the earth. You feel a deep sense of coziness, sitting in your heavy leather chair, warm and dry, listening to the rain and watching the digital waves. You pull your sweater a little tighter around your shoulders, enjoying the feeling of the soft fabric against your skin. You are safe. You are warm. You are ready to sleep. You turn your gaze back to the center of the dark water. You focus on one specific wave as it forms, a dark swelling in the deep blue. You follow it as it rises, catches the silver moonlight, and then slowly, gently subsides. You follow the next wave and the next. You let your mind become empty, filled only with the rhythmic movement of the water, swell and settle. swell and settle. The numbers on the screen continue to scroll, glowing green in the dim light. 78 degrees. 2 knots of wind, calm seas, high visibility. The data is a lullaby, a stream of facts that confirm what you already know. Everything is fine. Everything is peaceful. There is no conflict here, no rush, no sudden movements. Just the slow, steady progress of a quiet night. You reach for your tea again, but your hand is too heavy. You decide to leave it on the coaster. You simply let your arms rest on the chair, your fingers completely relaxed. You feel a slight tingling in your fingertips, the sensation of your body letting go, preparing for deep rest. The amber lights in the hallway outside seem to have dimmed even further, leaving the observation room in a cocoon of soft blue and green light. The hum of the servers seems to have grown quieter, or perhaps you are simply drifting further away from it. The sound is becoming part of the background, part of the silence. You look at the digital compass rose again. The delicate needle is still swaying, slowly, gently, left and right. It is a beautiful, precise instrument. You think about the history behind it, the centuries of quiet navigation, of sailors relying on the stars and the magnetic pull of the earth to guide them through the dark. You imagine the quiet discipline of the navigator, standing on a wooden deck in the middle of the night, taking careful measurements, recording the data in a heavy canvas logbook. It is a peaceful image, an image of careful, deliberate action in the face of a vast, calm sea. You feel a connection to that quiet discipline, sitting here in your own observation room, watching the modern equivalent of those ancient tools. The technology has changed, but the peacefulness of the empty ocean remains the same. The bioluminescence sparkles again in the digital water. A larger patch this time, a soft, glowing cloud of pale blue light that shifts and swirls beneath the surface. It looks like a reflection of the Milky Way, a constellation of tiny living stars trapped in the water. You watch the glowing cloud drift slowly with the simulated current, a mesmerizing display of silent, hidden beauty. The light is soft and cool, perfectly matching the overall tone of the room. You watch it until it slowly fades away, sinking back down into the dark depths of the digital sea. You take another slow, deep breath. The air feels heavier now, thicker with the promise of sleep. You let your head rest back against the leather headrest of the chair. It is perfectly positioned, supporting your neck, allowing all the muscles in your shoulders and back to finally, completely relax. You are sinking down into the chair, down into the quietness of the room. The blue light from the simulation table paints soft shadows on the ceiling, slow, shifting patterns that mimic the movement of the waves. You watch the shadows dance, a silent, hypnotic ballet of light and dark. The weather data on the small screen updates with a soft, almost imperceptible click. The wind speed has dropped to 0. The sea is completely glassy now, a perfect dark mirror reflecting the stars and the moon. The waves have smoothed out into long, barely visible swells. The ocean is holding its breath. The stillness is profound. It is a deep, heavy stillness that presses gently against your skin, wrapping you in a blanket of absolute peace. You look at the glassy surface of the water, marveling at the perfect reflection of the moon. It is a flawless circle of pale silver, floating on the dark blue. You feel a sense of profound solitude, but it is not a lonely feeling. It is a comforting solitude, the feeling of being the only person in the world, perfectly safe, perfectly content, watching a beautiful, secret scene unfold just for you. You reach out and touch the brass dial again. You turn it very slowly, counterclockwise, and the perspective begins to rise again. You are floating back up away from the glassy surface of the water, pulling back to a wider view. The moon's reflection shrinks to a bright silver path again. The waves, though still incredibly small, become visible as a texture on the surface of the vast, dark circle. You continue to rise until you are looking down at the entire simulated expanse of the South China Sea. It is a huge, dark disk, sprinkled with starlight, bordered by the soft, glowing edges of the projection table. You are back in your quiet observation room, a safe distance away, a watcher in the night. The hum of the servers, the soft blue light, the gentle scroll of the green data, the slow sway of the compass needle, the distant sound of the rain outside. All of these elements blend together into a single, cohesive experience of calm. You are no longer focusing on any one thing. You are simply absorbing the atmosphere, letting the quietness of the room seep into your bones. Your thoughts are becoming slow and fragmented. The events of the day are distant memories, fading like the faint, glowing bioluminescence in the dark water. There is only the present moment, only the slow rhythm of the sea, only the heavy, comforting feeling of sleep approaching. You look at the slow, sweeping green arc of the radar simulation. It is a simple, old-fashioned display, a circular screen with a bright green line that sweeps round and round like the hand of a slow clock. The screen is entirely empty. There are no blips, no signals, no interruptions. Just the steady, rhythmic sweep of the line, illuminating the dark screen for a brief second before leaving it in darkness again. Round and round. A constant, reassuring sweep that confirms the emptiness of the sea, the safety of the night. You watch the green line make its slow circuit. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock again. It is a visual metronome setting the slow, peaceful pace of the room. The heavy leather chair feels like it is embracing you. You shift slightly, finding an even more comfortable position, your body heavy and loose. The chamomile tea is completely forgotten, resting quietly on its cork coaster. The brass astrolabe continues its silent, mechanical turning. The stars continue to twinkle above the dark, glassy water. You take another breath, so slow and shallow it barely moves your chest. The air is perfectly still. The world inside this room is perfectly still. You are drifting on the edge of sleep, floating on a dark, quiet ocean of your own, untethered and completely free. The blue light of the hologram is becoming a soft haze in your vision. The hum of the room is becoming the sound of your own quiet heartbeat. You imagine the deep, unseen currents moving miles beneath the surface of the simulated water. Massive, slow-moving rivers of cold, dark water flowing silently along the ocean floor. They are unseen, unfelt, but they are there. A constant, powerful force of nature moving with deliberate, unhurried purpose. You feel a strange kinship with those deep currents. Your own thoughts are slowing down, moving deeper, becoming heavy and slow, flowing silently beneath the surface of your waking mind. You are descending into the quiet depths of sleep, leaving the bright, busy surface of the world behind. The amber light from the hallway casts a faint, warm glow through the slightly open oak door. It mixes with the cool blue light of the simulation, creating a soft twilight atmosphere in the observation room. It is the color of dusk, the color of transition, the color of the world settling down for the night. You watch the point where the amber light meets the blue light on the thick carpet. The colors blend softly, without any sharp edges, a gentle merging of warmth and coolness. You let your eyes rest on that soft, blended light, feeling the last remaining traces of tension slip away from your body. Your hands are heavy. Your feet are heavy. Your head rests heavily against the leather. The digital clouds drift back across the moon, a slow gray veil that dims the silver light on the water. The simulation grows slightly darker, more intimate, more enclosed. The darkness is comforting. It is a soft, velvety darkness that invites you to close your eyes, to let go of the visual world, to surrender to the quietness. You watch the clouds move, their edges glowing faintly with the hidden moonlight. They are slow, silent travelers in the night sky, moving without effort, without destination, simply drifting with the high, unseen winds. You are drifting with them. You are untethered, floating in the soft, dark space between waking and sleeping. You hear the faint click of a relay switching somewhere deep within the console. It is a tiny, mechanical sound, followed by a slight shift in the hum of the servers. The simulation is entering a new phase of its baseline observation. The view shifts again, very slowly, panning across the vast, empty expanse of the dark water. The camera moves with a smooth, cinematic grace, gliding over the glassy surface, heading towards the faint, hazy band of the Milky Way on the horizon. The movement is so slow it is almost imperceptible, a gentle, continuous journey into the heart of the empty ocean. You watch the stars slowly wheeling overhead as the perspective shifts, a slow, majestic rotation of the heavens. The green data on the small screens continues to scroll. The numbers change slightly, subtle variations in temperature and pressure, the microscopic breathing of the natural world. You don't read the numbers anymore. You just watch the soft, glowing green light, a comforting presence in the periphery of your vision. The compass needle sways. The radar line sweeps. The astrolabe turns. They are a chorus of quiet, mechanical companions, keeping watch while you rest. You are entirely safe. The room is secure. The simulation is flawless and peaceful. There is nothing to disturb the quiet rhythm of the night. You take a final, deep breath, feeling the cool, clean air fill your lungs one last time before you fully surrender to sleep. The air smells faintly of rain now, the outside world softly pressing against the thick glass windows, a gentle reminder of the natural world continuing its quiet cycles, while you rest in this sanctuary of light and data. You let the breath out in a long, slow sigh, your body sinking completely into the heavy leather chair. The blue light of the hologram washes over you, a soft digital tide that carries you further and further away from the waking world. You close your eyes. The image of the dark, starlit water remains imprinted on the inside of your eyelids, a peaceful, enduring vision. You listen to the hum. You listen to the rain. You feel the heavy, comforting weight of your own body. You are drifting. You are floating. You are suspended in the quiet, perfect equilibrium of the room. The transition is seamless. You are no longer entirely awake, yet not entirely asleep, lingering in that beautiful, heavy space where the world softens and time loses its rigid shape. The deep blue light of the holographic ocean continues to cast its gentle rhythm across the walls, rising and falling in time with your own steady breathing. The hum of the facility's air circulation system wraps around you, a continuous, comforting vibration that resonates deep within your chest. It is a sound that says you are protected, you are isolated from the demands of the world, and you are entirely free to rest. You slowly open your eyes, just a fraction, letting your heavy eyelids droop lazily as you gaze back at the primary projection table. The perspective of the simulation has shifted once more, gliding effortlessly through the digital night. You are moving closer to the water again, but this time, the camera is sweeping low over a vast, submerged topography. On one of the auxiliary screens to your left, the deep ocean floor is being mapped in slow, elegant wireframe lines. The colors are incredibly soothing. Deep indigos, soft cyans, and the faintest hints of bioluminescent purple. You watch as the lines trace the edge of a massive underwater plateau, a silent, ancient mountain range hidden beneath miles of dark water. It is a landscape of absolute stillness, a place where the sunlight has never touched, governed only by the slow, inexorable pull of the tides and the gentle drift of deep-sea currents. The screen displays the depth in soft, glowing green numbers that slowly tick upward as the topography rises toward the surface. 10,000 feet, 8,000 feet, 5,000 feet. The numbers are meaningless to you now, just a comforting sequence of data confirming the vastness of the space. You imagine the sheer volume of water suspended above those digital mountains, a weight so immense it is almost impossible to comprehend. Yet here, in your quiet room, it is rendered simply as light and shadow. You feel a profound sense of scale, a comforting realization of how small you are, and how little your daily worries matter in the face of such ancient, enduring geography. The world is large, and it is peaceful, and it will continue its slow, majestic cycles long after you have drifted off to sleep. As the virtual camera glides further across the South China Sea, the outline of a distant island begins to form on the horizon. It is not a modern coastline, cluttered with lights and harbors, but a pristine historical rendering of the landmass. It appears as a soft, charcoal gray silhouette against the slightly lighter gray of the night sky. There are no borders drawn on this map, no flags, no boundaries. It is simply the earth, exactly as it has been for thousands of years, rising quietly from the sea. You watch the silhouette grow slightly larger as the simulation approaches, its gentle curves and rolling hills standing in silent contrast to the flat, dark expanse of the water. You reach out, your movements heavy and slow, and brush your fingertips against the polished wood of the console. You find another smooth, cool dial, this one made of brushed aluminum, and give it a slight, deliberate turn. The simulation responds with a graceful transition. The purely topographical view fades, replaced by a historical overlay. The digital water takes on the faint, textured appearance of an ancient parchment map. Faint, sepia-toned lines begin to weave across the surface of the sea, tracing the ancient maritime trade routes that once connected distant shores. These are the paths of the old wooden junks and the heavy merchant vessels, ships that relied entirely on the stars, the seasons, and the steady breath of the monsoon winds. You watch one of these trade routes curve gently past the silhouette of the island. It is a path of pure potential, a memory of quiet journeys undertaken centuries ago. You imagine the sailors on those ships, men who knew the rhythms of the sea intimately, who understood the language of the clouds and the subtle shifts in the current. You imagine them standing on the creaking wooden decks in the middle of a calm night, surrounded by the same dark water and the same bright stars that are glowing in your room right now. They too must have felt this deep, heavy sense of peace when the winds were fair and the sea was glassy. You feel a thread of connection to those ancient travelers, a shared understanding of the ocean's profound quiet. The weather data on your secondary monitor updates with a soft, rhythmic pulse. The simulated wind is shifting, taking on the gentle, predictable pattern of the northeast monsoon. The vector graphic displays the air currents as long, sweeping ribbons of pale green light, curling gracefully down from the north and fanning out across the warm water. It is a steady, benevolent wind, the kind of wind that carries ships safely to their destinations without hurry or strain. You can almost feel it brushing against your face, carrying the scent of salt, distant rain, and perhaps the faint, imaginary aroma of cloves and sandalwood from an ancient cargo hold. The air in your observation room remains perfectly still and dry, a comfortable contrast to the damp, tropical breeze you are imagining. Outside the thick, soundproof glass of your facility, the real weather of the Pacific Northwest continues its quiet work. The rain has settled into a steady, rhythmic downpour. You can hear the low, hushed sound of millions of drops falling through the needles of the tall pine trees, a continuous, rushing whisper that blankets the surrounding forest. The water runs down the large panes of glass in long, shimmering streams, distorting the darkness outside and reflecting the warm amber light of the corridor behind you. It is a cold, wet night out there, which makes the dry warmth of your leather chair and the tropical illusion of the holographic sea feel all the more inviting. You are perfectly insulated, nestled in a cocoon of warmth, safety, and soft technology. You let your head roll slightly to the side, feeling the soft friction of the worn leather against your cheek. You gaze at the projection table from this new, lower angle. The digital waves seem slightly taller from here, their slow, rolling motion even more hypnotic. Swell and settle, rise and fall. The silver path of the moonlight stretches across the water, a shimmering bridge that leads from your console straight out to the infinite horizon. You follow the path with your eyes, letting your focus blur, allowing the silver light to become a soft, glowing smudge in your vision. Your breathing matches the rhythm of the waves perfectly now. As the water rises, you draw the cool air in. As the water falls, you let the warm air out. It is an effortless, automatic cycle, a surrender to the natural tempo of the simulation. The tiny, sparkling lights of the bioluminescent plankton return, this time closer to the virtual camera. As a gentle digital wave rolls past, the water beneath it erupts in a soft, ethereal glow of pale blue and green. It is a quiet, microscopic fireworks display, a secret celebration of life in the deep ocean. The lights swirl and dance in the wake of the wave, illuminating the dark water for a few fleeting seconds before slowly fading back into the ink. You watch the display with heavy eyes, mesmerized by the delicate, fleeting beauty of it. It reminds you that even in the darkest, most empty places, there is a quiet, hidden magic occurring, completely independently of human observation. The world is taking care of itself. There is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to manage. You bring your attention back to the brass astrolabe on the historical screen. It has completed a full rotation and is slowly beginning another. The intricate rings cast faint, complex shadows against the digital background, a testament to the careful, deliberate craftsmanship of a bygone era. You admire the precision of the instrument, the way it breaks down the vast, chaotic sky into understandable angles and degrees. It is a tool for finding one's place in the universe, a way to anchor oneself to the turning of the earth. But here, tonight, you do not need to find your place. You are already exactly where you belong. You are anchored by the weight of your body in the chair, by the steady hum of the room, by the gentle patter of the rain against the glass. The soft green sweep of the radar line continues its endless circle. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It is a slow, methodical heartbeat, a visual reassurance that the perimeter is clear, that the sea remains empty, that the night is yours alone. The bright green line illuminates the faint, circular grid of the display, revealing nothing but the calm, open ocean. You watch the line make its circuit 3 times, letting your mind empty out with each passing sweep. Any lingering thoughts from the day are caught by the sweeping line and gently pushed off the edge of the screen, leaving your mind as clear and unblemished as the dark, simulated water. You feel a profound sense of heaviness in your limbs. Your legs are entirely relaxed, sinking deeply into the soft cushion of the chair. Your arms rest limply on the armrests, your fingers slightly curled, entirely devoid of tension. Even the muscles in your face have completely surrendered, your jaw slack, your brow perfectly smooth. You are melting into the environment, becoming one with the quiet, dark room and the slow, humming machinery. The chamomile tea in the heavy ceramic mug has grown completely cold, its earthy, floral scent fading into the background. You have no desire to reach for it, no desire to move at all. The act of sitting still has become a luxurious, deeply rewarding experience. The holographic sky above the South China Sea begins to change, very subtly. The deep, midnight blue of the simulation slowly takes on a slightly lighter, softer hue. It is not the approach of dawn, but rather the subtle, atmospheric shift that occurs in the deepest hours of the night, when the moon reaches its zenith and casts its maximum light upon the world. The clouds that were drifting across the stars become more defined, their edges glowing with a pearlescent silver light. They look like islands of soft cotton floating in the dark sky, moving with a glacial slowness that defies the passage of time. You watch a particularly large, billowy cloud drift directly over the virtual camera, casting a vast, soft shadow over the water below. The shadow moves across the sea, a localized patch of deeper darkness that momentarily obscures the sparkling bioluminescence and the reflection of the stars. It is a cool, comforting shadow, a reminder of the shifting, transient nature of the weather. As the shadow passes, the silver light of the moon returns, seemingly brighter and clearer than before. The water shimmers and dances, 1,000 tiny points of light reflecting the quiet celestial display. You feel a sense of immense peace watching this silent interaction between the sky and the sea. It is a drama without conflict, a performance enacted solely for the benefit of the quiet night. Your gaze drifts away from the primary projection table and settles on the far wall of the observation room. The walls are covered in sound-absorbing panels wrapped in a heavy, dark gray fabric. The fabric has a subtle, woven texture that catches the ambient light of the room, creating a soft, matte finish that is incredibly easy on the eyes. You study the texture of the fabric, letting your eyes wander aimlessly over the tiny, intersecting threads. It is a simple, repetitive pattern, much like the gentle swell of the simulated waves. You find comfort in this repetition, in the predictable, unbroken continuity of the woven surface. It is a visual white noise that helps to quiet the remaining chatter in your mind. The hum of the servers seems to shift its frequency, dropping to an even lower, more resonant pitch. It is a sound you feel more than you hear, a deep, steady vibration that travels through the floor, up through the heavy base of the leather chair, and into your bones. It is a mechanical purr, the sound of massive amounts of data being processed with effortless ease. You imagine the racks of servers hidden away in some adjacent, climate-controlled room, their cooling fans spinning in perfect unison, their countless tiny lights blinking in a silent, continuous rhythm. They are the unseen engines driving this perfect simulation, working tirelessly so that you can simply sit and observe. You feel a wave of gratitude for the quiet, hidden systems that keep the world running smoothly while you rest. The historical map overlay on the projection table begins to slowly fade, the sepia-toned trade routes dissolving back into the deep, dark water. The simulation returns to its purest baseline state, just the ocean, the sky, and the weather. The purity of the image is striking. Without the lines and markers of human history, the sea reclaims its absolute vastness. It is an empty canvas, a space of infinite possibility and profound silence. You look out over the flawless digital horizon, feeling a sense of expansion in your chest. The walls of your observation room seem to dissolve, and for a moment you are out there, hovering above the warm, dark water, suspended beneath the dome of the stars. You take another slow, deep breath, letting the clean, dry air of the room fill you up. As you exhale, you imagine yourself breathing out over the simulated ocean, your breath joining the gentle, tropical trade winds, sweeping across the water, traveling for thousands of miles without ever touching land. It is a feeling of immense freedom, a release from the physical boundaries of your body and the immediate surroundings of the room. You are expanding, diffusing into the quiet night, becoming part of the calm, steady rhythm of the world. The rain outside intensifies slightly, a sudden heavy gust of wind driving the water harder against the thick glass. The sound rises for a few moments, a rushing, washing noise that briefly masks the hum of the servers. It is a beautiful, chaotic sound, a reminder of the wildness of nature outside this carefully controlled sanctuary. You listen to the rain drum against the window, feeling perfectly safe, perfectly warm. The storm outside cannot reach you. It only serves to emphasize the profound stillness and security of the room you are in. You pull the imaginary blanket of the room's warmth a little tighter around yourself, snuggling deeper into the embrace of the leather chair. As the gust of wind passes, the rain settles back into its steady, rhythmic patter. The hum of the servers returns to the forefront of your awareness, a reassuring, constant companion. You look back at the simulation. The digital ocean remains entirely unaffected by the real-world storm raging outside your window. The South China Sea continues its slow, glassy swell under the bright, artificial moonlight. The contrast is deeply satisfying. You have the best of both worlds, the cozy, comforting sound of the cold rain and the visual warmth and stillness of the tropical sea. It is a perfect balance, a delicate equilibrium that lulls your mind further into relaxation. You focus on the small, glowing green text of the environmental data again. The numbers are still moving, but your brain is no longer attempting to process them. They are just shapes now, soft, glowing curves and lines that scroll silently up the screen. You watch a number 8 with its gentle, unbroken loops slowly slide off the top of the monitor. Then a 0. Then a 5. It is a meaningless, comforting stream of information, a lullaby written in code. You let your eyes drift out of focus, transforming the sharp green text into a soft, glowing smear of light. The digital compass rose sways. Left, right, its delicate pointed petals gently seeking the invisible magnetic north. You align your breathing with the sway of the compass. Inhale as it swings left. Exhale as it swings right. It is a slow, methodical pendulum, drawing you deeper and deeper into a state of heavy, peaceful trance. You feel a slight, pleasant numbness spreading through your limbs, the feeling of your body powering down, redirecting its energy inward for rest and repair. You are no longer holding yourself up. You are entirely supported by the chair, by the floor, by the architecture of the building. You are surrendering to gravity, letting it pull you down into a deep, dreamless sleep. The perspective of the simulation shifts once more, a long, incredibly slow pan upwards toward the night sky. The dark, rolling waves slip out of the frame, replaced by the vast, star-filled dome of the heavens. The Milky Way stretches across the center of the projection, a breathtaking river of soft, cloudy light. You gaze up into the digital cosmos, feeling a sense of quiet awe. The stars are arranged in their ancient, familiar constellations, silent watchers that have guided sailors and dreamers for millennia. You find the faint, glowing shape of the Southern Cross, resting low on the horizon, its 4 points anchored in the dark velvet of the sky. You watch the stars, letting their cold, distant light soothe your mind. They are steady, unwavering, a symbol of permanence in a constantly changing world. You imagine the immense distances between them, the vast, silent voids of space that separate each point of light. It is a scale that makes your own existence feel wonderfully insignificant, freeing you from the burden of importance. You are just a tiny, quiet observer, resting in a comfortable chair, watching the slow turning of a simulated universe. The soft, amber glow from the hallway outside the open door seems to dim slightly, as if the building itself is settling down for the night. The observation room is now bathed primarily in the cool, soothing blue light of the holographic stars, with only the faintest touch of warmth bleeding in from the corridor. The atmosphere is thick with peace. You feel a heavy, languid weight pressing gently on your chest, a comforting pressure that encourages you to sink even deeper into the leather cushions. Your eyelids flutter, the effort to keep them open becoming too much to sustain. You let them close just for a moment to enjoy the velvety darkness behind them. Even with your eyes closed, you can still sense the cool blue light of the simulation painting soft colors on your face. You can still hear the slow, rhythmic hum of the servers, the sweeping pulse of the radar line, the steady, comforting patter of the rain against the glass. The sensory details of the room remain with you, but they are muted, distant, like the memory of a dream. You are suspended in a state of perfect detachment, drifting weightlessly in the space between waking and sleeping. The world outside your window, the world of the digital ocean, the world of history and data, they have all faded away, leaving only the pure, heavy sensation of rest. You open your eyes one last, heavy time, looking up at the simulated stars. They seem to shimmer and blur, their light softening into a diffuse, glowing haze. The Milky Way is a slow, swirling river of silver dust, carrying you away on its silent current. The hum of the room is the sound of the universe breathing. The rain is the sound of time passing, gently and without consequence. You feel a profound, overwhelming sense of gratitude for this quiet moment, for this safe space, for the simple, luxurious act of doing nothing. You take a final, shallow breath, feeling the cool air against the back of your throat. You let it go, a long, slow sigh that dissipates instantly into the quiet hum of the machinery. The heavy leather chair holds you securely. The blue light wraps you in a soft embrace. You are letting go completely. You are sinking down into the dark, quiet depths. You are drifting on the slow, invisible currents of the night, carried away by the gentle hum of the room and the soft, rhythmic patter of the rain against the glass. The transition from waking to sleeping is no longer a destination you are trying to reach, but a quiet tide that has simply risen up to carry you away. You are floating entirely free, untethered from the weight of the day, suspended in the perfect, climate-controlled warmth of the facility. The heavy leather of the observation chair contours to your body so completely that you can no longer tell where you end and the chair begins. You have become part of the quiet architecture of the room, another silent observer bathed in the soft, fluctuating blue glow of the simulation table. You let your awareness drift outward, expanding slowly to fill the vast, circular space around you. The digital stars projected above the South China Sea seem to pulse with a faint, almost imperceptible rhythm, a slow, celestial heartbeat that mirrors your own. You watch a single, bright star positioned near the center of the holographic dome. It is rendered with such clarity that it appears to have depth, a tiny pinprick of pure, cold light shining through the dark velvet of the simulated night. You focus all your remaining attention on that one star. You watch as its light travels across the vast, empty distance of the digital universe, down through the simulated atmosphere, to reflect upon the slow-rolling waves below. The reflection is a delicate, dancing spark on the dark water, appearing and disappearing as the swells rise and fall, appear and disappear. It is a mesmerizing, repetitive cycle that gently smooths away the last edges of conscious thought. As you stare at the tiny reflection, the perspective of the simulation begins another of its slow, majestic shifts. It feels as though the entire room is gently tilting, gliding effortlessly down from the starry heavens back toward the surface of the sea. The descent is incredibly smooth, controlled by algorithms designed to mimic the graceful, sweeping movements of a seabird in flight. The dark water rises to meet you, filling your field of vision until the horizon disappears once more, leaving only the endless, undulating expanse of the ocean. The color of the water deepens as you get closer, shifting from the cool, midnight blue to a rich, almost opaque indigo. It is the color of deep sleep, the color of a world at rest. You notice a subtle change in the soft, green data scrolling on the secondary monitors. The atmospheric pressure numbers are shifting by fractions of a decimal, indicating a slight, unseen change in the weather patterns hundreds of miles away in the digital world. The wind vectors on the screen adjust their arcs, the long, sweeping lines of light curling into new, graceful formations. Even in its most peaceful baseline state, the simulation is alive, constantly calculating, constantly balancing the intricate web of environmental variables. It is a beautiful, complex system working in perfect harmony, a silent symphony of data that requires absolutely nothing from you. You do not need to understand the numbers or track the changes. You only need to let their soft, green glow wash over you, a visual reassurance that the world is functioning exactly as it should. You turn your head a fraction of an inch to the right, your cheek resting heavily against the worn leather headrest. Your eyes find the digital compass rose again. It is still swaying left and right, an endless search for a true north that never moves. You watch the intricate details of the compass, the delicate shading on the petals, the soft, brassy sheen of the needle. You imagine the countless quiet nights at sea where navigators relied on such instruments, standing on the decks of wooden ships, surrounded by an ocean much like the one glowing in the center of your room. They would watch the needle sway, listening to the creak of the timber and the rush of the water against the hull, finding comfort in the steady, predictable laws of magnetism. You feel a deep, comforting connection to that history of quiet observation, sharing in the peace of an empty sea under a starry sky. Next to the compass, the astrolabe continues its slow, mechanical rotation. The interlocking rings turn with a silent, heavy grace, casting complex, shifting shadows against the dark background of the screen. It is a beautiful puzzle of brass and light, a testament to a time when the sky was the only map that mattered. You follow the edge of one of the outer rings with your eyes, tracing its perfect circle as it revolves, round and round, a constant, unbroken loop that has no beginning and no end. It is a visual representation of eternity, of the slow, unending cycles of the natural world. You let your mind ride on the turning ring, feeling yourself being drawn deeper and deeper into a state of profound, hypnotic relaxation. The rain outside the facility seems to have found a new, steady rhythm. The heavy gusts of wind have passed, leaving behind a soft, consistent downpour that blankets the dark pine forest in a continuous, rushing whisper. The sound is incredibly insulating. It creates a thick, acoustic wall between you and the outside world, a barrier of white noise that protects the absolute silence of the observation room. You can hear individual drops striking the thick, soundproof glass near the ceiling, a tiny, percussive patter that adds texture to the rushing background. You imagine the water streaming down the large panes, blurring the dark shapes of the trees outside, washing the world clean while you rest safe and dry inside. You sink your weight even deeper into the leather chair, feeling a pleasant, tingling warmth spreading from your core down through your legs and out to your fingertips. The climate control system in the room is perfectly calibrated, maintaining a steady, dry heat that contrasts beautifully with the cold, wet night outside. You feel a very faint, almost imperceptible breeze brush against your forehead, the gentle exhalation of the air vents hidden high up in the shadowed ceiling. It smells faintly of ozone from the server racks, mixed with the clean, neutral scent of filtered air. It is the scent of a sterile, protected environment, a place where nothing unexpected can happen, where time moves slowly and heavily. The primary projection table emits a soft, low chime, a sound like a single drop of water falling into a deep pool. The historical overlay you watched earlier begins to return, fading softly back into the simulation. But this time, it is not the trade routes that appear. Instead, the dark water is gently overlaid with a vast, intricate grid of navigational lines. They are rendered in a pale, glowing gold, resembling the latitude and longitude lines of an ancient celestial globe. The lines curve and intersect, dividing the endless ocean into manageable mathematical squares. It is an attempt to impose order on the vastness, a beautiful, abstract map drawn in light over the moving water. You trace one of the golden lines with your eyes, following it as it arches over the digital horizon. The grid is a comforting illusion of control, a reminder of the careful, methodical way humanity has sought to understand the world. But the water beneath the grid continues to swell and settle, entirely indifferent to the golden lines projected upon it. The ocean remains untamed, unbothered, moving to its own ancient, tidal rhythms. You find a deep sense of peace in this juxtaposition, the quiet mathematical precision of the grid layered over the raw, natural power of the sea. It is a balance of mind and nature, a perfect equilibrium that mirrors the stillness you feel within yourself. As you watch, small, glowing markers begin to appear at the intersections of the golden grid. They are tiny points of warm, amber light, like distant lanterns floating on the water. They are waypoints, historical markers of quiet anchorages and safe harbors long forgotten by the modern world. You watch as a dozen of these tiny lanterns illuminate across the simulation, casting soft, golden reflections on the dark blue waves. They are beacons of safety, gentle reminders that even in the vastest, emptiest oceans, there are places of refuge and rest. You imagine what it would be like to sail toward one of those distant lights, knowing that calm water and safe harbor awaited you at the end of a long journey. The thought of a safe harbor resonates deeply within you. You realize that you are already there. This quiet, softly lit observation room, nestled in the rainy forests of the Pacific Northwest, is your safe harbor. The heavy leather chair is your sanctuary. The hum of the servers is your anchor. You have arrived. There is no further need to travel, no need to seek out anything else. You only need to remain still, to let the heavy, comforting blanket of sleep pull completely over you. You let go of the tension in your hands, your fingers uncurling completely, resting limply against the smooth wood of the console. You let go of the tension in your shoulders, feeling them drop down away from your ears, settling heavily against the back of the chair. The weather data on the secondary screen shifts again, the soft green numbers updating with a silent flicker. The digital temperature of the simulated sea drops by a fraction of a degree. The virtual night is deepening, entering its coldest, quietest hours. The bioluminescent plankton responds to this shift, their glowing displays becoming more frequent, more vibrant. As a particularly long, slow wave rolls across the projection table, the entire crest illuminates in a brilliant, cascading shower of pale blue light. It is a breathtaking sight, a wave of pure, cold fire moving through the darkness. You watch it break and dissolve, the tiny, glowing particles slowly sinking back down into the indigo depths, like a shower of falling stars beneath the sea. You feel your breathing slow down even further, becoming so shallow and quiet that you can barely hear it over the hum of the room. You are breathing in time with the slow rise and fall of the digital water, an effortless synchronization that binds you completely to the rhythm of the simulation. Inhale. The water rises. Exhale. The water falls. Inhale. The glowing grid pulses softly. Exhale. The amber waypoints shimmer. You are completely absorbed in the visual and auditory texture of the room, your own boundaries dissolving into the gentle, glowing environment. The world is nothing but soft light, deep shadows, and continuous, rhythmic motion. The slow, sweeping line of the radar display catches your eye again. The bright green arm continues its endless, circular journey. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You watch it make 3 full rotations, feeling your mind empty out with every passing sweep. The line is like a soft brush, sweeping away the clutter of your thoughts, leaving behind a perfectly blank, dark screen. There is nothing to detect. There is nothing approaching. The perimeter is perfectly secure. You are alone, and you are entirely safe. The green light casts a rhythmic, flickering glow on the dark wood of the console, a slow, visual metronome that paces the beating of your heart. You turn your attention back to the golden grid overlay on the primary projection table. The lines are beginning to slowly rotate, the entire digital globe shifting on its invisible axis. The movement is glacial, a majestic, unhurried turning that reveals new expanses of the empty ocean. You watch as new intersections appear, new amber waypoints illuminating one by one as they crest the digital horizon. It is a slow, endless revelation of peaceful, uninhabited space. You imagine the vastness of the real ocean, the millions of square miles of dark water where no ship has sailed for months, where the only sounds are the wind and the waves. You let your mind expand into that emptiness, finding comfort in the sheer scale of the solitude. The heavy, ceramic mug on the coaster beside you has become a part of the still life of the room. The chamomile tea inside is entirely cold, its surface a perfect, dark mirror reflecting the tiny, glowing lights of the control panel. You have no intention of drinking it. Its purpose now is simply to exist, a comforting object of ritual and routine that anchors the room in reality. You look at the soft, curved shape of the mug, the way the ambient light highlights the smooth glaze. It is a simple, perfect shape, a small, quiet detail in a room filled with complex data and vast simulations. You appreciate its simplicity, its heavy, grounding presence on the desk. The soft, amber glow from the hallway seems to retreat slightly, the shadows in the corners of the observation room deepening and lengthening. The building is powering down its non-essential systems, settling into its deepest state of rest. The hum of the air circulation system drops a half step in pitch, a subtle shift that makes the room feel even heavier, even more insulated. You feel the change in the air, a slight thickening of the atmosphere, as if the room itself is holding its breath. You let your own breath out in a long, slow sigh, joining the quiet settling of the facility. You are sinking deeper into the leather, the boundaries of your physical form becoming hazy and indistinct. On the projection table, the virtual camera begins to descend once more, moving closer to the surface of the water. The golden grid and the amber waypoints fade away, leaving only the pure, unadorned simulation of the sea. The perspective drops until you are hovering just inches above the digital waves. The water is incredibly detailed from this angle. You can see the intricate texture of the surface, the tiny, overlapping ripples that catch the silver moonlight. You watch a single ripple form, travel a few feet, and then disappear, absorbed by the larger swell. It is a microcosm of the entire ocean, a tiny fleeting movement in a vast, unchanging system. You feel a profound sense of peace watching the water. It is a perfect, continuous cycle of movement and stillness, of tension and release. You imagine yourself floating on that surface, weightless and supported, rocked gently by the slow, rhythmic swell. You would feel the cool, damp air on your face, the warm, dark water beneath you, the vast, starry sky above you. You let the image fill your mind, replacing the reality of the observation room with the beautiful, peaceful illusion of the simulation. You are no longer sitting in a chair. You are drifting on the sea, miles from anywhere, completely alone and completely content. The sound of the rain outside becomes a distant, rushing murmur, blending seamlessly with the low hum of the servers. The two sounds wrap around each other, a continuous, soothing white noise that fills your ears and quiets your mind. You listen to the blended sound, letting it wash over you like a warm wave. It is the sound of absolute safety, the sound of a world that is perfectly contained and perfectly controlled. You feel a heavy, languid weight in your chest, the comforting pressure of deep, restorative sleep pulling you down. You slowly close your eyes, letting the heavy, velvety darkness envelop you. The image of the dark water and the silver moonlight remains burned onto your retinas, a soft, glowing afterimage that continues to swell and settle in your mind's eye. You can still feel the slow, rhythmic sweep of the radar line, the turning of the astrolabe, the steady, predictable pulse of the data scrolling on the screens. They are a chorus of quiet companions, keeping watch while you surrender entirely to rest. You take one final, slow breath, feeling the air fill your lungs completely, and then let it go. You are falling slowly and gently into a deep, dreamless void. You are surrounded by the quiet hum, the soft light, the endless water. You are perfectly still. You are completely safe. You are drifting deeper into the heavy, comforting embrace of the room, leaving the waking world far behind you. The transition is so smooth, so entirely without effort, that you simply allow yourself to sink further into the soft, yielding leather of your chair. The simulation of the South China Sea continues its quiet, eternal rhythm before you, a vast circle of deep indigo and shimmering silver light. You are a silent passenger in this room, journeying through a digital night that asks nothing of you, a night perfectly contained within the hum of the servers and the thick, soundproof walls of the facility. You let your head tilt just slightly, finding a new, even more comfortable pocket in the headrest. The worn leather sighs softly under your weight, a gentle, familiar sound that blends with the ambient noise of the room. Your eyes, though closed, can still perceive the subtle shifts in the light from the projection table. The cool blue glow washes over your eyelids in slow, rhythmic waves, perfectly synchronized with the swelling of the simulated ocean. You feel the light as a physical sensation, a soft, cooling touch against your skin that smooths away the last faint traces of tension from your forehead and jaw. The low, resonant hum of the air circulation system seems to drop another fraction of a decibel, settling into a deep, vibrating purr that you feel in the very center of your chest. It is a steady, mechanical lullaby, a sound that speaks of massive systems working flawlessly in the background to ensure your comfort and safety. You imagine the cool, dry air flowing silently through the hidden ducts above you, maintaining the perfect, static climate of the observation room while the Pacific Northwest rain continues to fall outside. The contrast between the cold, wet reality beyond the glass and the warm, dry sanctuary within is a source of immense, grounding comfort. You slowly open your eyes again, your vision blurry and soft. The digital ocean has entered a phase of absolute, glass-like stillness. The gentle swells have flattened out almost completely, transforming the surface of the simulated water into a perfect, dark mirror reflecting the digital heavens. The Milky Way is cast across the water with breathtaking clarity, a wide, hazy band of starlight that seems to stretch into infinity. You look at the reflection, losing your sense of up and down. The room feels as though it is floating in the center of a vast, star-filled sphere, suspended in the quiet emptiness of space. On the left side of the main console, a new display gently illuminates with a soft, amber glow. It is a topographical map of the ocean floor, but rendered in the style of an antique, hand-drawn chart. Delicate, sepia-toned lines trace the deep underwater canyons and the rising slopes of hidden seamounts. You watch the slow, sweeping contour lines as they map the unseen world miles beneath the glassy surface. It is a landscape of profound silence, a place untouched by the weather or the passage of human time. You feel a deep sense of peace knowing that such vast, quiet places exist, ancient and enduring, perfectly insulated from the busy world above. You trace the path of a deep-sea trench on the antique display, following its slow curve as it cuts across the screen. The depth is marked in elegant, archaic script, knotting fathoms and leagues in a language of old navigation. You imagine the crushing weight of the water down there, the absolute darkness, the slow, freezing currents that inch along the ocean floor. It is an environment so extreme, yet here, translated into light and data, it is simply another layer of calm. The ancient script and the sepia lines are a bridge between the deep history of the Earth and the quiet technology of your room. The radar display continues its endless, sweeping vigil. The bright green line makes its slow circuit around the dark, circular screen. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It illuminates nothing but the empty grid, a constant, reassuring confirmation of your solitude. You align your breathing with the sweep of the line. You breathe in as it rises from 6 to 12. You breathe out as it falls from 12 to 6. The slow, mechanical rotation becomes the rhythm of your own body, a perfect synchronization of human and machine in the pursuit of absolute rest. You feel a subtle shift in the simulated atmosphere. The numbers on the environmental data screen flutter silently, updating the digital temperature. The virtual night air over the South China Sea is cooling, approaching the quietest, darkest hour just before the dawn. The simulation responds to this unseen chill. The surface of the water seems to turn a shade darker, the midnight blue deepening into an almost perfect black, broken only by the sharp, silver reflections of the stars. The coldness of the digital world makes the physical warmth of your leather chair feel even more pronounced. A heavy, protective blanket wrapped securely around your shoulders. A slow-moving, luminescent shape appears in the depths of the simulation, far below the dark, glassy surface. It is not a distinct object, but a soft, glowing cloud of pale green light, shifting and morphing as it drifts on a deep, unseen current. You watch it rise slowly toward the surface, a phantom of the deep ocean, entirely peaceful and entirely mysterious. It is a massive bloom of bioluminescence, disturbed by the gentle friction of the deep water. The glowing cloud expands and contracts, breathing with the slow rhythm of the sea. A silent, beautiful secret revealed only to you in the quiet of the observation room. You watch the green light until it slowly fades, sinking back down into the absolute dark. The ocean is perfectly empty once more. You let your gaze drift upward, leaving the dark water and resting on the simulated sky. The stars are incredibly bright now, piercing the digital velvet with cold, clear light. You find the familiar shape of Orion, the hunter, resting low on the digital horizon. You trace the 3 bright stars of his belt, a celestial marker that has guided navigators for thousands of years. It is comforting to see the same stars that ancient sailors watched from their creaking wooden decks, shining down on your quiet, high-tech sanctuary. The rain outside the facility gives a sudden, heavy sigh, a gentle gust of wind pushing a sheet of water against the thick glass of the high windows. The sound is a soft, rushing murmur, a reminder of the wild, wet forest surrounding the building. You listen to the water cascading down the panes, blurring the dark shapes of the pine trees outside. The sound is like a heavy, weighted blanket pressing down on the room, insulating you further from the world. You are tucked away, safe and dry, listening to the storm from the perfect comfort of your chair. You reach out and rest your hand on the heavy wooden edge of the console. The wood is cool and smooth, polished by years of quiet observation. You feel the solid, grounding weight of it beneath your palm, an anchor in a room filled with shifting light and flowing data. Your fingers are entirely relaxed, barely curling around the edge. You have no desire to change the simulation, no desire to turn the brass dials or press the glowing silver buttons. The baseline setting is perfect. The empty ocean, the starry sky, the slow sweep of the radar, it is everything you need. The astrolabe on the historical screen continues its slow, hypnotic turning. The intricate brass rings cast long, moving shadows across the display, a complex dance of light and geometry. You watch the pointers align and diverge, calculating imaginary angles to imaginary stars. It is a beautiful, obsolete machine, a piece of art functioning simply for the sake of its own quiet rhythm. You let your mind ride on the turning rings, feeling yourself being drawn deeper into a state of heavy, thoughtless trance. The turning never stops. The cycle never ends. There is only the slow, continuous motion of the brass. You feel a profound sense of isolation, but it is a warm, welcome isolation. You are the only person in this facility, perhaps the only person awake for miles in any direction. You are the sole observer of this flawless digital ocean, the solitary keeper of the quiet night. The solitude wraps around you like a cocoon, protecting you from the demands and expectations of the waking world. Here, you are required to do nothing. You are required to be nothing. You are simply a presence, a quiet consciousness absorbing the calm, steady data of a peaceful world. The digital compass rose sways. Left, right, left, right. The delicate, pointed needle gently seeking a true north that remains forever out of reach. It is a beautiful, futile motion, a continuous seeking that brings its own kind of peace. You watch the needle, feeling a kinship with its slow, methodical swing. Your own thoughts have become like the needle, swaying gently from side to side without ever settling on a distinct point. The thoughts are soft and blurry, passing through your mind like thin clouds drifting across a dark sky, leaving no trace behind. The hum of the servers. The soft, sweeping sound of the rain, the slow pulse of the digital waves, they all begin to merge into a single, cohesive soundscape. It is a symphony of white noise, a thick auditory blanket that muffles the sharp edges of reality. You feel yourself dissolving into the sound, your sense of physical boundary fading away. You are no longer sitting in the chair. You are the chair. You are the hum. You are the slow, sweeping green line of the radar. You are entirely integrated into the quiet, peaceful system of the observation room. The perspective of the simulation shifts again, an incredibly slow, sweeping pan across the glassy surface of the water. The virtual camera glides silently, moving toward a distant, hazy glow on the digital horizon. It is not the sun, but the accumulated light of millions of stars reflecting off the calm sea, creating a soft, luminous band that separates the dark water from the dark sky. You watch the glow as it approaches, a gentle, welcoming light that speaks of infinite space and eternal calm. The slow, forward motion of the camera is hypnotic, drawing you deeper and deeper into the illusion of the endless ocean. You take another slow, deep breath, feeling the cool, filtered air fill your lungs. It smells faintly of warm electronics and old paper, a comforting, familiar scent that signals safety and rest. You let the air out in a long, slow sigh, feeling your chest sink heavily into the leather. Your arms and legs are completely weightless, perfectly supported by the chair. You feel a slight, pleasant tingling in your fingertips and toes, the sensation of your body powering down, redirecting all its energy inward for deep, restorative sleep. The glowing amber waypoints from the historical grid slowly reappear on the surface of the water, a scattering of tiny, warm lights illuminating the vast, dark emptiness. They look like a constellation of fallen stars, floating gently on the glassy swells. You watch them bob and weave with the slow motion of the digital sea, a silent, synchronized dance of light. They are markers of safe harbor, ancient points of rest for weary travelers. You feel a deep resonance with those distant lights, a quiet acknowledgement that you, too, have found your safe harbor in this room. You let your eyes close, allowing the heavy, velvety darkness to wash over you completely. The soft blue light of the simulation still registers through your eyelids, a gentle, fluctuating glow that matches the rhythm of the digital waves. You can still hear the hum of the servers, the sweep of the radar, the steady patter of the rain. The room remains exactly as it was, a constant, unchanging sanctuary holding you safe while you drift away. You feel the slow, heavy pull of gravity drawing you down into the soft cushions, drawing you down into the quiet depths of sleep. You are surrendering entirely to the night. You are held in the perfect, quiet suspension of a world that asks absolutely nothing in return. The boundaries between your own resting mind and the silent, humming machinery of the facility have softened into a seamless, comforting blur. The transition is not a sudden drop, but a slow, graceful glide down a gentle slope, taking you further away from the bright, sharp edges of the waking hours and deeper into the velvety, muted tones of the night. You let your chin drop just a fraction, finding the absolute center of balance for your head against the worn leather cushion, allowing the last, microscopic traces of tension in your neck to simply dissolve into the heavy air. As your eyes remain closed, the soft blue light from the primary projection table continues to paint faint, shifting shapes across the darkness of your eyelids. It is a slow, rhythmic light show, a gentle reminder that the digital ocean is still there, still swelling and settling in its endless, peaceful cycle. You feel the light as a subtle warmth, a comforting presence that stands vigil while you rest. The hum of the servers, a low, continuous purr that vibrates deep within the floorboards, serves as the heavy blanket that covers the room, muffling any rogue thoughts that might try to drift to the surface of your mind. You take a long, slow breath in, feeling the cool, climate-controlled air fill your lungs. The air is perfectly filtered, carrying the faint, clean scent of polished wood, old paper, and the dry warmth of electronic circuits. It is the scent of a safe, enclosed space, a sanctuary tucked away from the unpredictable elements of the real world. You exhale slowly, a long, continuous sigh that joins the hushed chorus of the room's ambient sounds. With that exhalation, you feel your shoulders drop another millimeter, your arms growing even heavier against the armrests, your hands resting completely motionless. The rain outside the facility has settled into a deep, unbroken drone. The individual drops are no longer discernible. They have merged into a single, rushing wall of sound that sweeps through the dark pine trees and washes over the thick glass of the high windows. It is a magnificent, insulating sound. It creates a vast, acoustic moat around your quiet observation room, protecting the stillness inside from anything that might lie beyond the forest. You listen to the rain, letting its chaotic, natural rhythm soothe the structured, logical parts of your brain. The storm outside is taking care of itself, following its own ancient patterns, leaving you free to simply exist in the warm, dry core of the building. You slowly open your eyes, the heavy lids parting just enough to let the blue light filter back in. The simulation of the South China Sea has shifted once again, the surface of the water peeling back to reveal the hidden thermal layers of the deep ocean. The vast, three-dimensional space beneath the waves is now rendered in slow-moving bands of soft violet, deep indigo, and faint, glowing magenta. It is a visualization of temperature, a map of the massive, silent rivers of cold water that flow slowly across the ocean floor. You watch the bands of color shift and mingle, moving with a glacial, unhurried grace. It takes centuries for these deep currents to complete their global circuits, a timescale so vast and slow that it instantly puts the fleeting worries of a single human day into perspective. You let your mind ride on the slow-moving violet bands, feeling yourself being carried along by the ancient, heavy momentum of the deep sea. There is no rush down here. There are no deadlines, no expectations, only the slow, eternal physics of water and temperature. You feel a profound sense of comfort in this slow motion, a reassurance that the fundamental mechanisms of the earth are stable and enduring. On one of the secondary monitors to your right, a new historical overlay gently materializes. The crisp, green digital data is temporarily replaced by the elegant, sweeping cursive of an old ship's logbook. The ink is a faded sepia brown against a background of soft, parchment-colored light. The text scrolls incredibly slowly, displaying meticulous, handwritten notes on wind direction, barometric pressure, and the subtle changing of the tides. You don't try to read the specific words. You simply admire the shape of the letters, the careful, deliberate loops and lines created by a navigator who lived centuries ago. The cursive script is a beautiful reminder of the human element in this vast, empty ocean. It is a record of quiet observation, of long, peaceful nights spent taking measurements by the light of a swaying lantern. You imagine the navigator dipping a quill into an inkwell, the scratch of the metal tip against the thick paper, the singular focus required to accurately record the state of the sea. You feel a quiet kinship with that unseen writer. You are both observers of the same ocean, separated by time and technology, but united by the shared experience of the quiet night watch. The digital compass rose continues its slow, hypnotic sway. Left, right, left, right. The movement is so steady, so predictable, that it becomes a visual anchor for your drifting mind. You watch the delicate brass needle seek its true north, a gentle, unending pursuit that requires no effort and causes no strain. You let your own breathing fall into sync with the needle once more. Inhale on the left swing. Exhale on the right swing. The rhythm is slow and deep, pulling you further down into a state of heavy, dreamless relaxation. Beside the compass, the brass astrolabe turns its intricate rings. The shadows it casts against the screen lengthen and shorten in a complex, slow-motion dance. You trace the outer ring with your heavy eyes, following its perfect, unbroken circle. It is a symbol of continuity, of the endless, repeating cycles of the stars and the seasons. You feel secure in the knowledge that these cycles will continue, regardless of what happens in the small human world. The astrolabe turns, the earth rotates, the deep currents flow, and you are held safely in the center of it all, a quiet witness to the enduring peace of the natural order. The thermal simulation on the main table slowly fades, the violet and magenta bands dissolving back into the deep, dark indigo of the ocean depths. The surface of the water returns, glassy and still, reflecting the brilliant, cold light of the digital stars. The Milky Way has shifted slightly across the simulated sky, a visual marker of the passing hours. The slow rotation of the galaxy above matches the slow, deep currents below, a perfect, harmonious system operating in total silence. You gaze at the starlight on the dark water, feeling a sense of quiet awe at the scale and beauty of the illusion. A gentle, localized weather system begins to form on the far edge of the projection table. It is a small, passing rain squall, rendered as a soft, gray smudge against the dark digital horizon. You watch as delicate, silvery lines of rain begin to fall from the base of the cloud, meeting the glassy surface of the sea in a wide, sweeping pattern of tiny ripples. It is a peaceful, harmless event, a quiet watering of the empty ocean. You imagine the sound of those simulated raindrops hitting the water, a soft, hissing whisper that would blend perfectly with the real rain falling outside your window. The squall moves slowly across the projection, a localized patch of weather entirely detached from the rest of the clear, starlit sky. You watch it drift, a gentle, nomadic traveler on the vast expanse of the South China Sea. The tiny ripples it creates catch the moonlight, creating a shifting, shimmering patch of silver that follows the cloud. You feel a sense of coziness watching the distant digital rain from the comfort of your dry, warm observation room. It is like looking at a beautiful, moving painting, a masterpiece of light and data that brings the tranquility of nature directly into your sanctuary. You let your head roll slightly to the left, the worn leather of the chair squeaking very softly under the movement. The sound is intimately familiar, a part of the quiet choreography of your night. You look at the dark wood of the console, the smooth, polished surface that curves around you like a protective barrier. You reach out a heavy hand and simply rest your palm flat against the wood. You feel the microscopic grain beneath your skin, the cool, solid reality of the desk anchoring you to the physical room, while your mind continues to float over the digital sea. The hum of the servers seems to harmonize with the sound of the rain outside, creating a chord of pure, restorative white noise. The frequency resonates in your bones, a deep, cellular massage that coaxes the final, stubborn knots of tension from your muscles. You feel your legs sinking deeper into the cushion, your feet resting heavily on the soft carpet. Your entire body is an expression of gravity, surrendering completely to the downward pull of the earth. The urge to sleep is no longer a gentle suggestion. It is a heavy, irresistible tide that is slowly covering you. The green radar line makes another sweep, a slow, steady circle of light that illuminates the empty screen and then leaves it in darkness. The rhythm is entirely predictable, a metronome setting the pace for your slowing heart. You watch the line pass 12 o'clock, sweeping down the right side of the screen, curving past 6 o'clock and rising up the left. It is a circle of safety, a continuous reassurance that there is nothing out there, nothing to disturb the profound peace of the ocean or the quiet sanctuary of your room. You feel a deep, unbroken sense of security as the green arm completes its circuit, dropping back down to 6 o'clock to begin the quiet journey all over again. The light washes briefly over the dark wood of the console, a soft emerald pulse that fades almost as quickly as it arrives, leaving no trace behind. You let your eyes slide away from the radar screen, allowing your vision to blur and soften until the entire room becomes a watercolor painting of deep blues, warm ambers, and muted greens. The sharp edges of the monitors and the metallic sheen of the dials dissolve into gentle, glowing shapes, perfectly harmless and entirely serene. You are wrapped in a cocoon of soft focus, where nothing demands your attention and every piece of data is simply a different note in a slow, visual lullaby. The projection table at the center of the room hums with a new, subtle frequency, a sound so low it is more of a vibration passing through the soles of your feet than a noise reaching your ears. The simulation of the South China Sea is transitioning once more, the digital twilight deepening into the profound, absolute darkness of the middle of the night. The surface of the water, previously shimmering with the reflection of the Milky Way, now turns into a flawless expanse of obsidian glass. It is a mirror of perfect stillness, completely undisturbed by wind or tide, reflecting a sky that is heavy with the weight of 1,000,000 ancient stars. You watch the dark mirror, feeling your own mind flatten and smooth out, mirroring the perfect calm of the simulated ocean. A new historical overlay slowly bleeds into the projection, not on the water this time, but in the sky above it. Faint, silver lines begin to connect the brightest stars, drawing the classical constellations of ancient mariners across the digital heavens. The lines are delicate and luminous, tracing the shapes of mythical creatures and forgotten heroes in a slow, celestial connect the dots. You watch the silver thread weave through the sky, creating the long, winding tale of Draco and the sturdy, geometric shape of Pegasus. These are the shapes that guided wooden ships across featureless oceans, the reliable, unchanging friends of the solitary navigator. You feel a deep, comforting connection to these silver outlines, a sense of shared history with everyone who has ever looked up at the night sky and found peace in its vast, silent order. The virtual camera begins a slow, sweeping ascent, rising up from the glassy surface of the dark water toward the intricate web of silver constellations. As the perspective shifts, the reflections on the ocean stretch and warp, creating long, beautiful ribbons of starlight that seem to reach down into the hidden depths. You follow the upward motion, letting your heavy head rest completely against the soft leather of the chair. You are floating up with the camera, leaving the heavy, physical world behind, ascending into a realm of pure light and quiet geometry. The air in the observation room feels lighter now, almost weightless, as if the gravity of the facility has been gently dialed back to match the floating sensation of the simulation. Outside the soundproof glass, the rain continues its steady, rushing dialogue with the forest. The wind has died down completely, leaving only the pure, vertical fall of water against the earth and the windows. It is a heavy, soaking rain, the kind that saturates the soil and turns the world outside into a dark, aquatic sanctuary. You can hear the individual rivulets tracing their way down the large panes, a soft, chaotic whispering that contrasts beautifully with the organized, mathematical silence of the room. You imagine the cold drops hitting the thick glass, sliding down the smooth surface, and pooling in the dark earth below. The sound is incredibly grounding, a continuous reminder that you are safely indoors, perfectly insulated from the damp chill of the Pacific Northwest night. You turn your attention back to the central console, your hand still resting limply against the polished wood. Next to your cold mug of chamomile tea, a small, secondary screen displays a cross-section of the ocean's topography, rendered in soft shades of gray and charcoal. It is a cross-section of a deep, underwater valley, a place where the sunlight has never penetrated, governed entirely by the slow, crushing pressure of the sea. You watch the slow, sweeping lines of the graph, marveling at the sheer scale of the hidden world beneath the waves. There are mountains down there taller than anything on land, valleys deeper than any canyon, all wrapped in a blanket of absolute, freezing darkness. It is a landscape of profound rest, a place where the hurried pace of the surface world means absolutely nothing. The thought of that deep, silent valley brings a wave of immense comfort. You imagine sinking down into that darkness, away from the light, away from the data, away from the gentle hum of the servers. It would be a slow, weightless descent into perfect quiet, a return to the absolute baseline of existence. You feel a sympathetic heaviness in your own limbs, a deep, cellular desire to mirror the stillness of the ocean floor. Your legs feel as though they are made of warm lead. Sinking permanently into the cushions of the chair, your arms are tethered to the armrests by an invisible, comforting gravity. You have no desire to move, no reason to break the perfect, static balance of your body in the room. The digital astrolabe on the historical monitor completes another slow, mechanical rotation. The brass rings align for a fleeting second, creating a perfect, unbroken sphere of light and shadow before slowly diverging once again. You watch the brief moment of alignment, a quiet celebration of geometry and engineering. It is a reminder that even the most complex systems, the most intricate movements, eventually find their moment of perfect balance. You feel that balance within yourself now. The scattered thoughts of the day have all aligned, settling into a smooth, cohesive feeling of profound relaxation. There is no friction in your mind, no resistance to the slow, heavy pull of sleep. A gentle, digital mist begins to form on the surface of the simulated South China Sea. It appears as a soft, glowing haze, rolling slowly across the dark, glassy water. The mist is incredibly detailed, catching the silver light of the constellations and diffusing it into a soft, pearlescent glow. You watch the fog bank drift, a silent, shapeless entity moving with a glacial grace. It obscures the sharp reflections of the stars, softening the entire simulation into a dreamy, impressionistic painting. The fog is a visual representation of your own blurring consciousness, a soft, gray blanket pulling slowly over the sharp details of the waking world. You watch the mist curl and swirl, creating slow, mesmerizing patterns in the empty air. It rolls over the invisible swells, dipping into the shallow troughs and rising over the gentle crests, mapping the invisible topography of the calm sea. You let your eyes lose focus again, allowing the glowing mist to fill your entire field of vision. The room seems to fill with the soft, gray light, the amber glow from the hallway fading into the background, the sharp green of the data screens becoming muffled and distant. You are suspended in a cloud of digital vapor, completely insulated from the sharp edges of reality, floating in a space of pure, soft atmosphere. The gentle, rhythmic hum of the facility's climate control system seems to harmonize with the slow movement of the mist. The sound becomes a physical texture, a thick, auditory fog that wraps around your ears and lulls your brain into a state of deep theta waves. You listen to the hum, feeling it resonate in the hollow spaces of your chest, a steady, mechanical vibration that mimics the purr of a sleeping animal. It is the sound of safety, the sound of a massive, complex building standing watch over your rest, ensuring that the temperature remains perfect, the air remains clean, and the silence remains unbroken. You take a long, slow breath, inhaling the clean, dry air of the room. It feels cool against the back of your throat, a refreshing contrast to the warm, heavy languor of your body. As you exhale, you imagine yourself breathing out a stream of that soft, digital mist, watching it join the glowing cloud on the projection table. It is a beautiful, hypnotic visualization, a way of perfectly synchronizing your physical body with the gentle, rhythmic data of the simulation. You are breathing with the ocean. You are breathing with the room. You are a seamless, integrated part of this quiet, nocturnal ecosystem. The digital mist slowly begins to part, pulled apart by an unseen simulated breeze. The fog bank fractures into long, wispy ribbons of light, revealing the dark, glassy water beneath. As the mist clears, the silver constellations in the sky seem to shine even brighter, their light piercing the remaining haze with a renewed, cold clarity. You watch the stars, tracing the lines of the Great Bear, the Swan, the Hunter. They are silent, enduring guardians, watching over the empty sea and the quiet room. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for their steady, unchanging presence, a comforting reminder that some things remain perfectly constant, regardless of the passage of time. On the right side of the main console, a new display flickers to life, bathed in a soft sepia light. It shows a highly detailed, hand-drawn map of the ocean currents, rendered in the style of an 18th century cartographer. The currents are depicted as long, sweeping arrows, curving gracefully around hidden landmasses and diving into deep, unseen trenches. You watch the arrows flow, a beautiful, static representation of constant motion. It is a map of the world's circulatory system, the massive, silent rivers that move heat and life across the globe. You trace the path of a particularly long arrow, following it as it sweeps across the digital parchment, losing yourself in the intricate, flowing lines. The rain outside seems to soften, the rushing wall of sound breaking apart into individual, distinct drops. You can hear them tapping gently against the glass, a slow, irregular rhythm that is incredibly soothing. Tap, 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 tap. It is a delicate, percussive counterpoint to the deep, steady hum of the servers, a gentle reminder of the natural world outside the soundproof walls. You listen to the raindrops, feeling a sense of immense coziness. The world is wet and cold, but you are dry and warm. The world is chaotic and unpredictable, but your room is ordered and serene. You are perfectly placed, perfectly protected, perfectly at rest. The green radar line sweeps past 3 o'clock, a slow, bright arc of light that confirms the emptiness of the space around you. You watch it move, feeling a sense of deep satisfaction with every passing degree. The line is a promise of continued silence, a visual guarantee that your peace will not be interrupted. You let your eyelids droop, the heavy muscles finally giving up the effort of staying open. You don't need to see the radar to know that the screen is clear. You can feel the safety of the room in the marrow of your bones, a deep, structural security that allows you to completely let go. Even with your eyes closed, the sensory details of the room remain vivid and comforting. You can still feel the soft, worn leather of the chair against your cheek and the smooth, polished wood of the console beneath your palm. You can still hear the hum of the servers, the turning of the astrolabe, the steady, gentle tapping of the rain. You can still sense the cool, blue light of the simulation and the warm, amber glow from the hallway. You are surrounded by a symphony of gentle sensations, a carefully constructed environment designed solely for the purpose of profound relaxation. You feel a slow, heavy wave of warmth wash over you, starting from the crown of your head and flowing down through your neck, your shoulders, your chest, and your arms. It is the feeling of your nervous system completely powering down, redirecting all its energy away from the external world and toward the quiet, internal processes of sleep. Your breathing becomes so shallow it is almost imperceptible, just a faint, regular stirring of the air in front of your face. Your heart beats with a slow, powerful rhythm, a steady, internal drum that perfectly matches the slow, deep swell of the simulated ocean. The digital compass rose sways one last time in your mind's eye, the delicate brass needle finally coming to rest perfectly on true north. It is a moment of profound alignment, a cessation of all seeking and all movement. You have arrived at your destination. The journey is over. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, no more data to process or observations to make. You are simply a body at rest, a quiet mind floating in a dark, warm space. The boundaries of the room, the boundaries of the simulation, the boundaries of your own skin, they all dissolve into a single, unified field of heavy, peaceful darkness. You are floating in the space between the digital and the real, a quiet passenger on a journey to nowhere, feeling the slow, inevitable pull of sleep. The heavy, comforting blanket of rest finally settles over you completely, a physical weight that gently presses you down into the deepest layers of the leather chair. The hum of the facility's air circulation system wraps around this moment, a continuous, mechanical lullaby that seals the observation room off from the rest of the world. You are entirely cocooned in warmth, safety, and the steady, predictable rhythms of the digital ocean. The boundary between your physical body and the quiet machinery around you has vanished entirely, leaving only a unified field of profound, undisturbed stillness. As you drift in this twilight space, your half-open eyes register a subtle, magnificent shift on the primary projection table. The virtual camera, hovering high above the simulated South China Sea, begins a slow, deliberate rotation to the east. The endless expanse of dark, midnight water sweeps smoothly across your field of vision, replaced gradually by the very edge of the digital horizon. There, barely perceptible against the dark velvet of the sky, the faintest hint of a deep, bruised purple begins to bleed into the black. It is the simulation of the approaching dawn, rendered with a slowness that defies the waking concept of time. You watch this false dawn with a heavy, detached wonder. It is not a sudden breaking of light, but a microscopic easing of the darkness, a slow exhalation of the night. The stars on the eastern edge of the hologram begin to dim, their sharp silver light softening into the approaching violet haze. The reflection of this subtle color change on the glassy water below is mesmerizing. The ocean transforms from a mirror of pure obsidian into a vast, shimmering canvas of deep indigo and muted plum. You feel the coolness of those colors wash over you, a visual balm that smooths away the final, lingering echoes of conscious thought. On the secondary monitor, the scrolling green data updates its atmospheric parameters. The digital air temperature drops by a fraction of a degree, reaching the coldest, quietest point of the simulated night just before the sun begins its slow ascent. You can almost feel that phantom chill, a crisp, clean sensation that makes the physical warmth of your heavy sweater and the worn leather chair feel even more luxurious. You pull the imaginary warmth tighter around you, sinking your shoulders another inch into the cushions, savoring the absolute comfort of your insulated sanctuary. The brass astrolabe on the historical display continues its silent, heavy turning. The intricate rings now cast long, soft shadows that stretch across the parchment-colored background, pointing toward the approaching digital morning. The instrument is a beautifully obsolete masterpiece, calculating the shifting angles of the heavens with a quiet, mechanical dignity. You watch the outer ring complete its slow revolution, a perfect, unbroken circle that reminds you of the endless, comforting cycles of the earth. The world will turn, the sun will rise, the tides will shift, and none of it requires your participation or your worry. You are free to simply rest and observe. A gentle, localized weather pattern emerges in the eastern portion of the simulation. A thin, horizontal bank of marine layer fog begins to form just above the surface of the water, a soft, gray ribbon separating the dark ocean from the lightening sky. The fog is rendered with breathtaking fidelity, its edges wispy and translucent, curling slowly in the gentle, simulated breeze. You watch it drift, a ghostly presence that adds a profound sense of depth and mystery to the empty sea. It is a quiet, insulating layer, a physical manifestation of the heavy gray sleep that is currently washing over your own mind. You trace the path of the fog bank as it rolls lazily over the invisible swells. It moves without urgency, a slow, continuous flow that asks nothing and expects nothing. You feel a deep kinship with that drifting mist. You, too, are untethered, floating freely through the quiet hours of the night, unbound by the schedules and demands of the daylight world. The observation room is your anchor, the heavy leather chair your safe harbor, allowing your mind to wander safely across the vast, empty distances of the digital ocean. Outside the soundproof glass, the reality of the Pacific Northwest night continues its steady, rhythmic work. The rain has transitioned from a heavy downpour to a soft, consistent drizzle, a gentle, whispering sound that blankets the dark pine forest. You listen to the millions of tiny drops tapping against the thick panes, a delicate, percussive rhythm that blends seamlessly with the low hum of the servers. It is the sound of the earth drinking, a quiet, necessary process of nourishment and renewal. You feel a sense of immense coziness, knowing that while the world outside is wet and cold, you are perfectly dry, perfectly warm, and perfectly safe. You turn your heavy gaze back to the central console. Beside the cold mug of chamomile tea, a new display gently illuminates, casting a soft, golden light across the polished wood. It is a digital rendering of an ancient tide clock, its single, heavy hand moving with a slowness that is almost imperceptible. The clock face is adorned with intricate, hand-drawn illustrations of the moon in its various phases, a beautiful homage to the celestial body that governs the breathing of the sea. You watch the heavy hand, resting exactly at the mark for low tide, a moment of absolute pause before the water begins its long, slow return. That moment of pause resonates deep within your chest. It is the turning point of the tide, the quietest moment of the ocean cycle. You feel your own internal tide reaching its lowest ebb, the busy, energetic waves of the day finally receding, leaving behind a smooth, empty shore of pure relaxation. There is no rush for the tide to return. There is no hurry for the morning to arrive. You are suspended in this perfect, static moment, held securely in the hollow of the night. The digital compass rose sways. Left, right, its delicate brass needle seeking a true north that remains forever calm and unchanging. You follow its slow, rhythmic swing, letting it guide your breathing into an even deeper, slower pattern. Inhale as the needle sweeps left. Exhale as the needle sweeps right. The mechanical pendulum becomes the metronome of your rest, packing the slow, steady beating of your heart. You feel a pleasant, heavy numbness spreading through your limbs, a total release of the muscular tension that keeps you tethered to the waking world. The perspective of the simulation shifts again, the virtual camera gliding smoothly down from its high vantage point, plunging through the soft, gray marine layer fog. As you descend through the mist, the digital world becomes wonderfully muted and indistinct. The sharp light of the stars is diffused into a soft, glowing haze. The dark water below is obscured, existing only as a deep, resonant feeling of vastness. You are enveloped in the fog, floating in a space of pure, soft atmosphere. It is exactly like the feeling of falling asleep, a gentle, welcoming cloud that erases the sharp details of reality and replaces them with a comforting, gray blur. You feel the simulated dampness of the fog, a cool, imaginary touch against your cheeks and forehead. It is a refreshing sensation that contrasts beautifully with the dry, climate-controlled warmth of the observation room. You breathe in the phantom scent of the marine layer, a clean, salty aroma that speaks of open spaces and deep water. The sensory illusion is flawless, drawing you so completely into the simulation that the walls of the facility seem to melt away, leaving you suspended alone in the quiet, misty air above the South China Sea. As the camera breaks through the bottom of the fog bank, the surface of the ocean is revealed once more. It is incredibly close now, just a few feet below your virtual viewpoint. The water is perfectly glassy, reflecting the soft, muted light of the approaching dawn. You can see the microscopic textures of the surface, the tiny, overlapping ripples that move with an agonizing slowness. It is a landscape of absolute tranquility, a place where the concept of conflict or hurry simply does not exist. You watch a single, gentle swell rise beneath the camera, lifting your perspective slightly before letting it fall back down. Rise and fall, swell and settle. The green radar line sweeps past 6 o'clock, a slow, bright arc of safety that confirms the total emptiness of your surroundings. You watch the line climb up the left side of the circular screen, illuminating the faint grid before leaving it in darkness once more. 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. The rhythmic sweep is a visual lullaby, a continuous reassurance that the perimeter is secure, that the sea is empty, and that your rest will not be disturbed. You let your eyelids droop, no longer needing to watch the screen. The heavy, structural security of the building has seeped into your bones, allowing you to completely and utterly let go. Even in the darkness behind your closed eyes, the gentle, glowing data of the room remains. You can still sense the soft blue light of the hologram, the warm amber glow from the hallway, the steady green pulse of the monitors. You can still hear the rushing whisper of the rain, the deep hum of the servers, the slow, mechanical turning of the astrolabe. These sensory details have merged into a single, cohesive experience of calm, a carefully constructed environment that holds you in a state of perfect, weightless suspension. You feel a deep, slow wave of relaxation flow down your spine, unlocking the final, hidden reserves of tension in your back and shoulders. You sink impossibly deeper into the leather chair, your body conforming perfectly to its worn contours. You are no longer an observer sitting in a room. You are a seamless part of the quiet, nocturnal ecosystem. You are the hum. You are the rain. You are the slow, steady sweep of the radar. You are entirely integrated into the peaceful, automated logic of the facility. The simulation of the dawn continues its microscopic progression. The bruised purple on the eastern horizon slowly brightens into a deep, vibrant magenta, casting a warm, rosy light across the glassy water. The stars fade away, yielding to the gentle, inevitable return of the sun. But the sun itself remains hidden below the digital curve of the earth, its presence felt only as a soft, expanding glow. It is a morning without demands, a quiet, beautiful transition that you can simply watch without needing to participate. You take one final, long breath, drawing the clean, dry air deep into your lungs. You hold it for a fraction of a second, feeling the absolute stillness of your chest before letting it out in a slow, continuous sigh. The sound of your breath vanishes instantly into the hum of the room, leaving no trace behind. You are empty now, perfectly clear and perfectly calm. The heavy, comforting darkness of sleep is rising up to meet you, a gentle, rising tide that will carry you through the remaining hours of the night. You surrender to the pull, feeling yourself slowly descending into the quiet, dreamless depths, guided only by the faint, rhythmic pulse of the glowing green numbers on the secondary display. The pulse is a slow, methodical heartbeat, a visual rhythm that perfectly matches the heavy, resting state of your own body. You watch the faint green glow wash over the polished dark wood of the console, a soft, undulating light that appears and disappears with the gentle cycle of the data. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible shift, but in the quiet perfection of the observation room, it is a comforting reminder of the massive, silent systems working tirelessly to maintain your sanctuary. You do not need to look at the numbers to know what they represent. They are the language of stability, a continuous confirmation that the environment is perfectly controlled, perfectly safe, and entirely undisturbed. The simulation of the South China Sea stretches out before you, bathed in the extraordinary, muted colors of the digital dawn. The deep magenta on the eastern horizon has slowly bled outward, softening into a vast, hazy wash of pale peach and soft lavender. These colors do not burst into the sky. They seep into it, a gentle, watercolor transition that respects the profound quiet of the room. You watch the colors reflect on the glassy surface of the water, transforming the dark, midnight ocean into a shimmering expanse of warm, pastel light. The reflection is flawless, undisturbed by even the slightest digital breeze. The water is a perfect mirror, holding the soft light of the morning in a state of delicate, unbroken suspension. You feel the imaginary warmth of that digital sunrise, a soft, psychological comfort that complements the physical warmth of the climate-controlled air. You sink your shoulders even deeper into the worn leather of the heavy chair, feeling the material yield completely to your weight. There is no resistance anywhere in your body. Your muscles are entirely slack, your joints loose and heavy. You are a physical manifestation of gravity, pulled down into the center of the earth, anchored safely within the thick walls of the facility. The chair feels less like a piece of furniture and more like a custom-built cradle, designed specifically to hold you in this state of absolute, unwavering rest. Outside the soundproof glass, the character of the rain has changed once again. The steady, percussive drizzle has softened into an incredibly fine suspended mist. It is a classic Pacific Northwest morning, where the air itself seems to turn into water, a thick gray blanket that settles heavily over the dark pine forest. You cannot hear the individual drops anymore. Instead, there is only a continuous, hushed whispering against the high windows, a sound so soft it borders on silence. The mist obscures the trees completely, turning the outside world into a blank, gray canvas. It is a visual and auditory insulation, a natural barrier that seals the observation room off from the rest of the waking world. You turn your heavy gaze away from the windows and back to the central projection table. The soft, peach-colored light of the simulation fills the room, replacing the cool, midnight blue with a gentle, warming glow. The shadows in the corners of the room stretch and soften, losing their sharp edges. The massive, circular console seems to float in this new light, a solid, grounding presence in a room filled with shifting digital atmosphere. You reach out your hand, your movements agonizingly slow, and rest your fingertips against the cool, brushed steel edge of the table. The metal is smooth and flawless, a tactile contrast to the soft, shifting light of the hologram. You feel the microscopic vibrations of the machinery beneath the steel, a steady, reassuring hum that travels up your arm and settles comfortably in your chest. On the historical monitor, the brass astrolabe has finally come to a complete, majestic stop. The intricate rings are perfectly aligned, forming a solid, unbroken sphere of golden light and dark shadow. The complex calculations are finished. The imaginary stars have been mapped, the celestial angles recorded. The instrument rests, a beautiful, silent testament to the completion of a long, quiet journey. You stare at the stationary rings, feeling a profound sense of closure. There is nothing left to measure, nothing left to track. The night's work is done, and all that remains is the deep, restorative peace of the morning. You let your mind rest on that stillness, adopting the quiet permanence of the brass sphere as your own internal state. The digital compass rose beside the astrolabe has also ceased its endless swaying. The delicate needle points exactly to true north, locked in a position of perfect, unshakable alignment. It does not quiver, it does not seek. It simply is. You look at the stationary needle, feeling the last, microscopic tremors of thought fade from your mind. Your internal compass has found its center. You are perfectly aligned with the quiet rhythm of the room, perfectly synchronized with the slow, heavy atmosphere of the facility. You are no longer navigating the complexities of the day. You have arrived at your destination, a place of absolute, unwavering calm. The perspective of the simulation begins one final, incredibly slow pan across the glowing pastel water. The virtual camera glides mere inches above the glassy surface, moving with a smooth, cinematic grace that feels completely detached from the physical constraints of gravity. As the camera moves, the reflection of the soft lavender sky warps and stretches, creating long, beautiful ribbons of color that dance across the digital swells. You follow the movement, letting your eyes lose focus until the distinct lines of the simulation blur into a soft, glowing haze. You are not watching a screen anymore. You are floating within the light, surrounded by the gentle, shifting colors of the digital dawn. The hum of the air circulation system drops to its lowest possible frequency, a deep, resonant purr that you feel more than you hear. It is the sound of the facility entering its deepest state of standby, a massive, complex machine settling into a quiet rhythm of pure maintenance. The air flowing from the hidden vents is slow and steady, carrying the faint, clean scent of ozone and polished wood. It is a sterile, comforting smell, the scent of an environment completely under control, completely safe. You breathe it in slowly, feeling the cool air travel down your throat and fill your lungs, a gentle, rhythmic expansion that matches the slow swell of the simulated ocean. You look at the secondary monitor displaying the weather data. The bright green numbers have dimmed to a soft, mossy hue, fading gently into the dark background of the screen. The information is still there, still scrolling silently, but it no longer demands your attention. It is simply a texture, a quiet, visual hum that adds to the overall atmosphere of the room. The wind speed reads 0. The barometric pressure is perfectly stable. The digital world is locked in a state of absolute, unchanging peace. You let the soft green light wash over you, a gentle, soothing color that smooths away the final, stubborn knots of tension in your jaw and forehead. A new, incredibly subtle feature emerges on the surface of the projection table. Very slowly, faint, golden lines begin to trace the invisible currents beneath the glassy water. They are not the rigid mathematical lines of the navigational grid, but soft, organic curves that flow and swirl with the natural movement of the sea. They look like ribbons of liquid light, drifting lazily through the dark indigo depths. You watch them weave together and pull apart, a slow, mesmerizing dance that reveals the hidden, silent energy of the ocean. It is a beautiful, abstract visualization of peace, a quiet flow that never rushes, never strains, simply moves with the eternal, unhurried grace of the natural world. You trace the path of one of the golden ribbons with your eyes, following its slow, winding journey across the projection table. It dips down into a simulated trough, rises smoothly over a gentle crest, and then gradually fades back into the darkness. The movement is so hypnotic, so perfectly fluid, that you feel your own thoughts beginning to mimic its path. Your mind is no longer a chaotic swirl of ideas. It is a single, slow-moving current of quiet observation, drifting effortlessly through the warm, heavy space of the room. You are completely detached from the physical world, floating on a sea of soft light and gentle data. The heavy, ceramic mug on the coaster beside you has become a forgotten artifact of the waking world. The cold chamomile tea inside reflects the pale peach light of the simulation, a tiny, dark mirror holding a miniature sunrise. You have no desire to reach for it, no desire to disturb the perfect, static arrangement of the console. The act of reaching, of moving your arm, seems like an impossible exertion in this state of profound heaviness. You are perfectly content to simply let things be, to allow the objects in the room to exist in their own quiet space while you exist in yours. The stillness is a luxury, a deep, rewarding embrace that you surrender to completely. The soft, amber glow from the hallway behind you seems to have faded almost entirely, leaving the observation room bathed solely in the light of the simulation. The shadows have deepened, stretching across the soundproof panels on the walls and pooling in the corners of the room. It is a soft, velvety darkness, a comforting enclosure that makes the space feel even more intimate, even more secure. You are tucked away in the center of the building, shielded from the light and noise of the outside world, a solitary watcher in a sanctuary of quiet technology. You pull the imaginary blanket of the room's atmosphere a little tighter around your shoulders, savoring the feeling of absolute protection. On the far side of the projection table, the soft, gray fog bank begins to dissipate. The mist does not blow away. It simply thins out, dissolving slowly into the pale peach air. As the fog clears, the digital horizon becomes incredibly sharp and distinct, a perfect, unbroken line separating the glassy water from the pastel sky. The clarity of the image is breathtaking, a flawless rendering of an empty, peaceful world. You stare at the horizon, feeling a sense of immense, open space. There are no obstacles, no complications, just a pure, infinite distance that invites your mind to wander and rest. You take another incredibly slow, shallow breath. The air barely moves in your chest. Your heart beats with a deep, powerful rhythm, a slow drum perfectly synchronized with the microscopic rise and fall of the simulated waves. You are no longer observing the room, you have become a part of it. The boundary between your physical body and the heavy leather chair, between your mind and the flowing digital data, has vanished entirely. You are the hum of the servers. You are the soft peach light. You are the quiet, steady sweep of the radar line. You are a seamless, integrated component of this perfect, peaceful ecosystem. The radar display, bathed in its dim, mossy green light, continues its slow, circular journey. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. The bright green arm sweeps across the dark screen, illuminating nothing but the faint, circular grid. It is a continuous, reassuring promise of safety, a visual metronome that paces the slow, heavy descent of your consciousness. You watch the line make its circuit, feeling a wave of profound relaxation wash over you with every passing degree. The screen is clear, the perimeter is secure. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. You are held in a state of perfect, unshakable peace. The historical overlay of the ancient ship's logbook slowly returns to the secondary monitor, its elegant, sepia-toned cursive fading gently into view. The text scrolls with a slowness that defies reading, a slow, continuous river of ink flowing across the parchment-colored screen. You do not try to decipher the words. You simply admire the graceful curves and loops of the handwriting. It is a visual representation of a slower, quieter time, a time of careful observation and deep respect for the natural world. You feel a connection to that distant navigator, a shared understanding of the profound peace that can be found in the quiet, lonely hours of the watch. The golden ribbons of light beneath the surface of the simulated water begin to multiply, weaving a complex, glowing tapestry across the digital ocean floor. They flow in slow, graceful arcs, tracing the invisible contours of the deep sea. The light is warm and inviting, a soft, bioluminescent glow that makes the dark water seem cozy and safe. You watch the intricate patterns form and dissolve, a silent, beautiful performance enacted solely for your benefit. The glowing ribbons are a reminder that even in the deepest, darkest places, there is a quiet, hidden beauty, a slow, continuous flow of energy that sustains the world. You feel a pleasant, heavy numbness spreading from the base of your spine, radiating outward through your hips and down your legs. It is the feeling of your nervous system completely letting go, releasing the last, stubborn holds on your physical form. Your feet are entirely weightless against the soft carpet. Your legs are melded with the cushion of the chair. You are floating, suspended in the heavy, warm air of the observation room, anchored only by the slow, steady rhythm of your breath. The feeling of weightlessness is incredibly liberating, a total surrender to the gentle, downward pull of sleep. The pale peach light of the digital dawn begins to subtly shift, taking on a warmer, more golden hue. It is the color of old honey, a rich, soothing light that bathes the room in a feeling of ancient, enduring peace. The reflection on the glassy water deepens, transforming the ocean into a vast, shimmering plain of liquid gold. You watch the light play across the microscopic ripples on the surface, a mesmerizing, slow-motion dance of color and shadow. The golden light seems to seep into your skin, warming you from the inside out, melting away any remaining traces of cold or tension. Outside, the fine, suspended mist continues to press against the high windows. The sound is almost completely gone now, replaced by a profound, heavy silence that presses against the thick glass. You can feel the weight of the water in the air outside, a heavy, damp presence that makes the dry, climate-controlled warmth of your room feel even more precious. You are perfectly insulated, a dry, warm seed planted deep within the cold, wet earth of the Pacific Northwest. The silence outside amplifies the quiet, mechanical sounds inside, turning the hum of the servers and the sweep of the radar into a beautiful, structured symphony of safety. You turn your head a fraction of an inch, your cheek resting heavily against the soft, worn leather of the headrest. You look at the digital tide clock on the central console. The heavy, ornate hand has not moved. It remains locked on the mark for low tide, suspending the room in a state of perpetual quiet pause. The moon illustrations on the clock face glow with a soft, silvery light, silent witnesses to the cessation of time. You feel that pause within yourself, a deep, internal stillness that mirrors the static clock. The tide will not rush back in. The day will not begin. You are held safely in this endless, golden moment. The perspective of the simulation shifts again, an incredibly slow, upward pan that leaves the golden surface of the water and rises into the warm, pastel sky. The digital clouds, previously rendered as dark, formless shapes against the night sky, are now illuminated from below by the unseen sun. They glow with soft shades of coral, apricot, and pale yellow, massive, billowing structures of light floating in the infinite space above the sea. You watch the clouds drift, their movement so slow it is almost imperceptible. They are majestic, silent travelers, moving with a grace and dignity that commands profound respect. You feel a sense of expansion as you watch the clouds. Your mind, previously focused on the small details of the room, broadens out to encompass the vast, open space of the simulation. You are no longer confined by the walls of the facility. You are soaring through the digital sky, drifting alongside the massive, glowing clouds. The air is clean and light, the space is infinite, and the peace is absolute. You are completely untethered, a weightless consciousness floating in a world of pure, soft color. The hum of the servers seems to harmonize with the slow drift of the clouds, creating a deep, resonant chord that fills the room. It is a sound that vibrates in the marrow of your bones, a continuous mechanical ohm that aligns your physical body with the perfect mathematical logic of the digital world. You let the sound wash over you, feeling it smooth away the jagged edges of reality, leaving behind a smooth, polished surface of pure calm. The hum is your anchor, your lullaby, your constant, reassuring companion in the quiet hours of the morning. You look down from the digital clouds, your perspective shifting back to the surface of the golden water. The sea is completely featureless now, a vast, flat plain of shimmering light. The microscopic ripples have vanished, leaving behind a perfect, unbroken mirror that reflects the warm colors of the sky with absolute fidelity. It is a landscape of pure abstraction, a space devoid of objects, events, or complications. It is the visual equivalent of deep sleep, a blank, beautiful canvas that invites total surrender. The green radar line makes another slow, methodical sweep, a bright, mossy arc that cuts through the dimness of the screen, confirming the perfect emptiness of the space around you. You watch the line pass 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. The cycle is endless, predictable, and deeply comforting. It is a visual heartbeat, a steady, rhythmic pulse that keeps time in a room where time has otherwise ceased to exist. You align your breathing with the sweep once more, finding a profound sense of peace in the repetitive, effortless motion. The historical overlay of the sepia-toned cursive fades slowly from the secondary monitor, leaving behind a blank, parchment-colored screen. The navigational grid on the primary projection table dissolves, the delicate golden lines melting back into the shimmering water. The astrolabe and the compass rose dim, their brass surfaces losing their luster as they power down into a deep, standby mode. The room is simplifying, shedding the layers of data and history, stripping away everything but the pure, essential elements of light, sound, and atmosphere. You feel a profound sense of relief as the data fades. The burden of observation is lifting, the need to process information gently slipping away. You are no longer required to track the weather, navigate the currents, or calculate the position of the stars. You are free to simply exist, a quiet, empty vessel resting in the heavy leather chair. The simplification of the room mirrors the simplification of your own mind. The complex, tangled thoughts of the day unraveling into a single, smooth thread of pure relaxation. The golden light of the digital dawn begins to soften, losing its vibrant edge and settling into a pale, muted amber. It is a color that matches the faint glow from the hallway, creating a seamless, unified atmosphere of warmth and security throughout the entire observation room. The shadows lose their depth, blending softly with the ambient light to create a hazy, dreamlike environment. The sharp outlines of the console and the monitors blur, their physical forms dissolving into the glowing mist that fills your vision. You feel a slow, heavy wave of sleep wash over you, starting from your toes and rising steadily upward. It is a thick, warm tide that completely envelops your legs, your torso, your arms, and your neck. Your body is entirely numb, pleasantly heavy, anchored firmly to the chair. Your head rests heavily against the leather cushion, perfectly balanced, entirely free of tension. Your jaw is slack, your eyes are closed, your breathing is slow and shallow. You have reached the very edge of consciousness, the quiet threshold between the waking world and the deep, restorative dark. Even with your eyes closed, you can still perceive the soft amber light of the simulation, a faint, warm glow that paints the inside of your eyelids. You can still hear the deep, resonant hum of the servers, a constant, mechanical purr that vibrations in your chest. You can still feel the heavy, worn leather of the chair, a supportive embrace that holds you safe and secure. The sensory details are distant now, muffled by the thick, gray blanket of sleep, but they remain a comforting presence, a tether to the quiet, peaceful reality of the observation room. You imagine the surface of the golden water one last time, a perfect, unbroken mirror reflecting the pale amber sky. You picture yourself floating on that surface, weightless and completely at rest. The water is warm, the air is still, the sky is infinite. You are suspended in a state of absolute equilibrium, perfectly balanced between the air and the sea, between light and shadow, between waking and sleeping. The gentle, microscopic swell of the ocean rocks you slowly, a rhythmic, hypnotic motion that lulls your mind into total silence. The digital compass rose sways faintly in your memory, a slow, ghostly movement that quickly fades into stillness. The green radar line makes a final, imaginary sweep across the dark screen of your mind, a bright arc of safety that leaves nothing but peaceful emptiness in its wake. The intricate rings of the astrolabe lock into place, a symbol of perfect, unchanging order. The room and the simulation have merged into a single, cohesive experience of calm, a carefully constructed sanctuary designed solely to guide you into the deepest, most restful sleep imaginable. You let go of the last, fragile thread of awareness, surrendering completely to the heavy, warm darkness. The hum of the facility becomes the sound of your own blood rushing softly in your ears. The amber light becomes the quiet, glowing center of your own mind. The boundless, golden ocean becomes the vast, empty space of your dreams. You are no longer an observer. You are the peace itself, a quiet, motionless presence resting in the heart of the secure, climate-controlled building. The world outside the thick, soundproof glass will continue its wet, chaotic cycles. But in here, in this perfect, isolated room, there is nothing but the slow, eternal rhythm of the digital sea, the gentle, comforting hum of the massive servers, and the profound, unbroken silence of your own deep rest. You are drifting perfectly. You are completely safe. You are suspended in a state of absolute grace. The boundaries of the room, the edges of the leather chair, the soft hum of the servers, and the slow sweep of the green radar line, they have all melted into a single, unified field of warmth. You are no longer sitting in the observation room. You are simply existing within it, a quiet consciousness wrapped in the thick, protective blanket of the digital night. The South China Sea simulation continues its eternal, peaceful rhythm before you, but you no longer need to watch it. You feel it. You feel the slow, methodical swelling of the dark water and the gentle rise and fall of your own chest. You feel the perfect, glassy stillness of the surface in the quiet, undisturbed expanse of your own mind. The facility around you is a fortress of calm, a massive, silent caretaker that watches over your rest. The air circulation system breathes with you, a low, mechanical exhalation that matches the rhythm of your own lungs. Inhale. The room draws in the cool, filtered air. Exhale. The room releases a soft, warming breeze. It is a symbiotic relationship of pure comfort, an environment designed with the sole purpose of keeping you safe, dry, and entirely at peace. The rain outside the thick glass windows has faded to a distant, rushing memory. A soft white noise that simply reinforces the profound quiet of your sanctuary. Your eyelids are heavy, sealed shut by the comforting weight of deep relaxation. Yet even in the darkness, the gentle luminescence of the room filters through. You perceive the soft, mossy green of the radar screen as a faint, rhythmic pulse behind your eyes. It is the color of safety, the color of a clear horizon, a visual metronome that paces your slowing heartbeat. Sweep and clear. Sweep and clear. The line traces its endless circle, finding nothing, reporting nothing, confirming over and over again that you are entirely alone in the best possible way. There are no demands here. There are no expectations. The projection table at the center of the room, though you can no longer see it directly, casts a warm, ambient glow that you feel upon your skin. The digital dawn, with its soft peach and pale amber hues, has settled into a state of perpetual golden morning. It is a morning without the pressure of the day, a morning that exists only to provide light and warmth. You imagine the glassy surface of the simulated sea, completely undisturbed, reflecting the pastel sky in perfect fidelity. You are floating on that surface, weightless and supported, drifting slowly on currents so gentle they are almost imperceptible. You feel the texture of the worn leather chair beneath you, a soft, yielding embrace that conforms perfectly to the shape of your body. It holds you securely, anchoring you to the physical world while your mind drifts across the vast, empty distances of the digital ocean. The leather retains the warmth of your body, creating a cocoon of absolute coziness. You sink deeper into the cushions, letting go of the final, microscopic fibers of tension in your muscles. Your hands rest limply on the armrests, your fingers uncurled and completely still. Your legs are heavy, your feet grounded on the soft carpet, your entire physical form surrendered to gravity. The historical data screens, the brass astrolabe, the antique compass rose, they have all retreated into a quiet standby mode, their calculations complete, their silent vigil over. They are objects of history, reminders of a slower time, standing as silent guardians in the periphery of your awareness. The complex map of the world's currents, with its sweeping arrows and elegant curves, has faded back into the parchment-colored background. The room has simplified itself, stripping away all unnecessary information, leaving only the pure, essential elements of rest. The low, resonant hum of the servers is a constant, physical presence in the room. It vibrates through the floorboards, travels up the base of the heavy chair, and settles deep within your bones. It is a sound that massages the nervous system, a continuous mechanical ohm that aligns your frequency with the slow, steady rhythm of the earth. You listen to the hum, letting it drown out any stray thoughts that might try to surface. It is a thick, auditory blanket that muffles the sharp edges of reality, a sound that speaks of massive systems working flawlessly to ensure your peace. You take a slow, shallow breath, the air barely registering in your throat. Your breathing has become an automatic, effortless process, a gentle rising and falling that requires no conscious thought. You are breathing in the calm, filtered air of the facility and breathing out the last, lingering echoes of the day. With every exhalation, you sink a fraction of an inch deeper into the leather. With every exhalation, the world outside becomes a little more distant, a little less real. You are entirely contained within this moment, within this room, within this feeling of profound, unshakable safety. The digital water of the South China Sea continues its invisible, hypnotic swell. You can sense the vastness of the ocean, the millions of square miles of empty, dark water stretching out in every direction. It is a comforting emptiness, a space where nothing happens, where nothing changes, where the only rule is the slow, eternal physics of the tides. You feel a deep kinship with that emptiness. Your mind has become like the ocean, vast and still, completely free of the clutter and noise of the waking world. The pale amber light of the simulation seems to gently wrap around you, a physical sensation of warmth that soothes your skin and relaxes your muscles. It is the light of a perpetual sunrise, a moment of transition paused indefinitely. You are held in that transition, suspended between the dark of the night and the brightness of the day, resting in the soft, glowing twilight. The shadows in the corners of the room are deep and velvety, providing a comforting contrast to the soft light of the console. You are tucked away in the safest, quietest corner of the world, entirely insulated from harm. The rain outside the soundproof glass gives a final, gentle sigh, a soft gust of wind pushing a mist of water against the panes. It is a delicate, percussive sound, a lullaby whispered by the natural world. You listen to it with a sense of deep detachment, knowing that the storm cannot reach you, cannot disturb the perfect climate of your sanctuary. The rain is simply another layer of the room's white noise, a chaotic, natural element that highlights the ordered, mathematical silence of the facility. The green radar line makes another sweep, a slow, methodical journey around the circular screen. 12, 3, 6, 9. It is a beautiful, predictable motion, a visual guarantee of your solitude. You trace the imaginary circle in your mind, feeling a wave of relief wash over you with every completed circuit. The space is clear. The perimeter is secure. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. You are held in a state of perfect, unshakable peace. You feel a pleasant, heavy numbness spreading from your core, radiating outward through your limbs. It is the feeling of your body completely powering down, redirecting all its energy away from the external world and toward the quiet, internal processes of repair and restoration. Your heart beats with a slow, powerful rhythm, a steady drum that perfectly matches the slow, deep swell of the simulated ocean. You are no longer observing the room. You have become a part of it. The boundaries between your physical body and the heavy leather chair, between your mind and the flowing digital data, have vanished entirely. You are the hum of the servers. You are the soft amber light. You are the quiet, steady sweep of the radar line. You are a seamless, integrated component of this perfect, peaceful ecosystem. The room breathes with you, holding you, protecting you, guiding you gently down into the deepest layers of sleep. The simulated horizon of the South China Sea stretches out in your mind's eye, a perfect, unbroken line separating the glassy water from the pastel sky. It is a landscape of pure abstraction, a space devoid of objects, events, or complications. It is the visual equivalent of deep sleep, a blank, beautiful canvas that invites total surrender. You let your consciousness expand to fill that empty space, floating freely in the warm, golden light. The facility around you stands as a monument to quiet technology, a fortress of calm nestled in the rainy forests of the Pacific Northwest. It is a place built for observation, for tracking the slow, massive movements of the natural world, but tonight it is simply a place for rest. The data flows silently, the servers hum their continuous lullaby, the screens glow with soft, unobtrusive light. The entire building is dedicated to the preservation of your peace. You let go of the last, fragile thread of awareness. The hum of the facility becomes the sound of your own blood rushing softly in your ears. The amber light becomes the quiet, glowing center of your own mind. The boundless, golden ocean becomes the vast, empty space of your dreams. You are no longer an observer. You are the peace itself, a quiet, motionless presence resting in the heart of the secure, climate-controlled building. The world outside the thick, soundproof glass will continue its wet, chaotic cycles. The storms will come and go. The winds will blow through the dark pine trees. But in this perfect, isolated room, there is nothing but the slow, eternal rhythm of the digital sea, the gentle, comforting hum of the massive servers, and the profound, unbroken silence of your own deep rest. You are drifting. The water is perfectly calm. The air is perfectly still. The light is perfectly soft. You are sinking down into the cushions, down into the quiet, down into the heavy velvet dark. There is no need to think. There is no need to move. There is only the slow, rhythmic swell of the ocean, rising and falling, rising and falling. Inhale, the air is cool and clean. Exhale. The The tension leaves your body entirely. Inhale. The green radar line sweeps the screen. Exhale. The screen remains perfectly clear. Inhale. The servers hum their low, mechanical song. Exhale. The sound wraps around you like a heavy blanket. You are entirely safe. You are entirely warm. You are entirely at peace. The observation room holds you in its quiet embrace, a sanctuary of light and data in the middle of a dark, rainy forest. The simulation of the South China Sea plays out its endless, peaceful loop, a digital testament to the enduring calm of the natural world. Your mind is a mirror reflecting the perfect stillness of the glassy water. Your body is a stone, resting heavily on the soft bottom of a quiet pool. The hours of the night will stretch out before you, an unbroken expanse of restorative time. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to accomplish, no one you need to answer to. The brass astrolabe is still. The compass needle is locked. The weather data is unchanging. The digital world has paused to allow you to rest. You feel a profound sense of gratitude for this pause, for this quiet space carved out of the busy, noisy world. It is a gift of pure time, a chance to simply exist without condition or effort. The soft peach light of the dawn fades into a deep, restful twilight. The colors of the room become muted and soft, a gentle, hazy blur that soothes your tired eyes. The shadows lengthen and deepen, providing a comforting, enclosing darkness that invites the deepest levels of sleep. You let the darkness wash over you, a warm, heavy tide that carries you away. You are floating on the digital sea, far from any shore, completely untethered. The water is a perfect temperature, supporting your weight effortlessly. You look up at the simulated sky, watching the faint, silver outlines of the ancient constellations. They are familiar friends, silent guardians watching over your journey into sleep. The hum of the servers is a physical vibration, a deep, resonant massage that smooths away the last traces of the day. You feel it in your chest, in your hands, in the soles of your feet. It is the heartbeat of the facility, a slow, steady rhythm that you have adopted as your own. The rain continues its soft, rushing whisper against the glass, a constant reminder of the physical world outside. But it is a world that cannot reach you, a world that exists only as a comforting sound. You are perfectly insulated, perfectly protected, held securely in the warm, dry core of the building. The green radar line sweeps, the screen is clear, the ocean swells, the water is calm, the light is soft, the shadows are deep. You are drifting, you are sinking, you are resting, you are safe. The heavy leather chair is your anchor, the observation room is your harbor, the simulation is your calm, empty sea. The journey is over. The night is yours. You surrender entirely to the heavy, pulling weight of sleep, letting it draw you down into a space of perfect, dreamless quiet. The gentle pulse of the data screens fades into the background. The glowing ribbons of light beneath the simulated water dissolve into the dark. The room simplifies itself until there is nothing left but the steady, rhythmic breath of the climate control and the slow, heavy beating of your own heart. You are a silent passenger in a quiet room, journeying through a night that asks absolutely nothing of you. The digital ocean is your companion, a vast, peaceful presence that mirrors the stillness of your own mind. You are completely and utterly at rest, enveloped in the soft, glowing warmth of the perfect simulation. Drift now, sink down, let the world fade away. The hum is constant, the air is warm, the chair is soft, the radar is clear, the water is still. You are safe. You are held. You are resting in the deep, quiet center of the night, surrounded by the slow, eternal peace of the empty sea. Let the darkness come. Let the silence grow. Let the heavy, comforting weight of sleep pull you completely under. The observation room will keep watch. The servers will hum their lullaby. The simulated dawn will wait for your return. For now there is only rest, only peace, only the slow, steady rhythm of your breathing, blending seamlessly with the quiet, unbroken harmony of the room. You are asleep. You are perfectly, beautifully, deeply asleep. The deep, dreamless state you have entered is a sanctuary of its own, a quiet continuation of the observation room but built entirely within your own resting mind. The physical sensations of the heavy leather chair, the cool, filtered air, and the distant, rushing sound of the rain have all receded into the background, leaving only a profound, weightless comfort. You are no longer tethered to the waking world, nor are you actively watching the digital sea. Instead, you have become part of the quiet, unbroken continuum of the facility's night. The primary projection table in the center of the room continues its flawless simulation, bathed in the soft, muted tones of a perpetual digital morning. The pale peach and amber light spills over the dark wood of the console, casting long, gentle shadows that stretch and blur across the soundproofed walls. The simulated water remains perfectly glassy, a flawless mirror reflecting the pastel sky. There is no wind, no tide, no shifting of the clouds. It is a moment of pure static beauty, holding the room in a state of delicate, unending grace. Even though your eyes are closed and your consciousness has drifted far away, the absolute safety of this space surrounds you like a physical shield. The massive, silent servers hidden deep within the building continue their tireless work, their low, resonant hum vibrating through the floorboards and into the heavy base of your chair. It is a mechanical heartbeat, steady and unwavering, a constant reassurance that the systems are functioning exactly as designed. You do not need to monitor them. You do not need to understand them. You only need to exist within their protective embrace. Outside the thick, soundproof glass, the Pacific Northwest morning remains hidden behind a thick curtain of gray mist. The rain has stopped, leaving behind a heavy, damp silence that presses gently against the windows. The tall, dark pine trees are shrouded in fog, their branches dripping quietly onto the soft forest floor. The natural world is at rest, recovering from the storm, wrapped in its own quiet slumber. The contrast between the damp, cold forest outside and the dry, warm sanctuary of your observation room makes your deep sleep feel even more luxurious, even more profound. On the secondary monitors, the green data streams have slowed to a barely perceptible crawl. The numbers and vectors fade into the dark background, their soft, mossy glow providing just enough light to illuminate the brushed steel of the console. The digital compass rose points steadfastly to true north, unmoving and secure. The brass astrolabe rests in perfect alignment. The historical tide clock remains locked at its lowest ebb. The machinery of observation has yielded to the necessity of rest, creating an environment where time itself seems to have stopped, stretching a single, peaceful second into an eternity of calm. You sink deeper into this timeless space, your body entirely surrendered to the heavy pull of gravity. Your breathing is slow, shallow, and perfectly rhythmic, a gentle tide that rises and falls with effortless ease. Your heart beats with a deep, resonant thrum, perfectly synced to the low hum of the facility's air circulation. The temperature is perfectly calibrated, wrapping you in a cocoon of dry, comforting warmth. There is no tension in your jaw, no weight on your shoulders, no flutter of movement in your hands. You are a body perfectly at rest, a mind completely at peace. The golden ribbons of light that trace the deep, unseen currents of the digital ocean continue their slow, hypnotic dance beneath the glassy surface. They weave and flow in complex, organic patterns, a silent visualization of the Earth's hidden energies. They are the only movement in the room, a slow, beautiful reminder that even in the deepest stillness, life and energy gently persist. The light from these ribbons casts a warm, bioluminescent glow that makes the digital water seem infinitely deep and infinitely welcoming. You are floating in that deep, warm water far below the surface, untouched by the weather or the passage of time. The pressure is a comforting embrace, holding you securely in the quiet dark. There are no sounds down here, no sudden movements, no demands on your attention. There is only the slow, eternal drift of the ocean, carrying you gently through the final hours of the night. You are completely disconnected from the world above, safely hidden in a realm of pure, undisturbed tranquility. The amber light from the hallway has completely extinguished, leaving the observation room illuminated only by the soft, pastel glow of the projection table and the dim green pulse of the monitors. The darkness is rich and velvety, a comforting blanket that covers your eyes and soothes your brain. It is the darkness of a deep cave, of a quiet womb, of a space entirely dedicated to your restoration. You let the darkness wash over you, absorbing its quiet power, allowing it to heal and rejuvenate every cell in your body. The green radar line makes a final, slow sweep across the dark circular screen. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It illuminates the empty grid one last time, confirming that the perimeter is secure, that the sea is empty, and that you are entirely alone in the best possible way. The line fades into the blackness, leaving the screen perfectly clear. The vigil is over. The observation is complete. The room has done its job, and you have done yours. There is nothing left to do but sleep. The boundaries of the room, the edges of the simulation, the limits of your own physical form, all of it continues to dissolve into a single, unified field of heavy, peaceful existence. You are no longer a person sitting in a chair. You are the quiet hum of the servers, the soft light of the digital dawn, the deep, resting stillness of the South China Sea. You are perfectly integrated into the peaceful, automated logic of the facility, a seamless part of a world that asks absolutely nothing in return. Drift completely now. Let the last faint echoes of awareness fade into the soft gray mist. The hum is your anchor, the warmth is your shield, the dark water is your bed. You are held, you are safe, you are resting in the deep, quiet center of the night. The morning will come when it comes, but for now there is only this perfect, unbroken peace. You are beautifully, deeply, and eternally asleep.